Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show. This is episode number 250. That's right, big 250. We have made it to the lights class here. We are in studio. We're going to wrap up the first ever inaugural World Championship Super Motocross race.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall.
Humpty Dumpty Super Duper Motocross. So we're going to wrap that up. We're going to talk some GPs. We're going to talk some destination stuff. In studio with me, returning co-host. Thanks for not acting like Joe Biden and sticking in the basement. Coming out with us, it is Justin.
I watched you just
See that? See that?
Oh,
See that?
you're fired up.
Fired up!
Fired up.
I'm pumped!
Pumped.
Psyched to the jets!
Okay, well, that was a little too much.
This is the second time we've recorded this intro, so This is going well. I'm sweating over here.
Travis did definitely not just do Coke or pre-workout, so...
My blood pressure might be high right now. Who knows? Actually, we do.
There's an app for that.
126 over 58, we're fine.
I don't know what that means.
120 over 60 is like completely
dead,
normal, middle of the line.
Oh.
So we're good.
Okay.
We're good. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Episode 250 here. Before we get started, just want to thank all our sponsors. So first up, Complete Racing Solutions. They are currently taking applications for their Elite Rider team. So if you are an amateur rider, you want a chance to be on their Elite Rider team, make sure to check them out, CompleteRacingSolutions.com. If you whine, if you're a overprotective helicopter parent, or you just suck, they don't want you to apply, okay? You got to be good, you got to have a good head on your shoulders, and you got to be willing to go the extra mile, but also not too far, because we don't want to get anybody Epstein-Barr.
Like the whole star team?
Like the whole star team.
Except for Hayden Deegan, maybe.
Except for Hayden Deegan. Then go ahead and apply there to be on Coach Rob's Elite Rider team. Again, check them out, CompleteRacingSolutions.com. Links to all these sponsors will be in the description down below. Also on board with us, TLR Coatings. They are Michigan's #1 custom powder coating shop. They can help you with any of your restoration work. If you have a commercial job that you need done where you need hundreds of parts done, they can do that too. They do it all. So make sure to check them out, TLRcoatings.com, or on all the major social media networks at TLR Coatings. Also on board with us, Holster Co. I don't know if I have a rant. Do you have a rant?
Not really for this past weekend, no.
I'm not sure I do either. Gutterworks going to be bringing our 450 class. We've got the Adept Creative Co. 250 class wrap up, and then we've got the Isaac Nelson Designs Deegan Danger Zone.
Maybe my rant will be about the MX of Nations and the current state of Team USA.
Well, we're going to get into that.
So maybe that'll be my rant.
We're going to get into that.
That might be my rant.
I've got some questions for you regarding some GP stuff, because you follow that enough that I can ask you some questions. You follow it way more than I do. Some Desnations questions there regarding the race overall, as well as the team selection here. That's, interesting.
Yeah, we'll get into
it. So we'll get into all of that. So let's get started here. Let's talk Super Motocross. And so before we jump into wrapping up the races here, let's talk track here, okay? So we come in, they say, hey, we are going to have a hybrid track. And we all go, oh,
we kind of I think the general consensus was it was going to be like Atlanta like when we go to Atlanta, like very extended
Supercross,
a Supercross track, very technical, just without the whoops, always the rollers. We're going to add a little bit of sand. It's going to get rutted, but for the most part, it's going to be loamy, but technical.
Yes,
not one Supercross section and the rest is going to be outdoors because it's red clay and we're going to drag it at the beginning of the weekend.
Let me tell you,
not that I had a problem with it.
I thought,
but it was different.
This was the closest we've ever been to a true hybrid.
Yeah, because even when they've done the Monster Cup in the past, it's not hybrid.
It doesn't work. So this is what I've heard so far. So number one, this track was pretty much the closest to a hybrid we're going to get. I've heard Chicago is going to be way more moto oriented. And
I think the LA Coliseum is going to be more Supercross style.
LA Coliseum.
Plus,
then you're
because
going
obviously
back to
you don't have
Monster.
Yeah,
essentially Monster Cup. Yeah, there's just not enough room.
Yeah.
So, but I was pumped on how this track kind of played out.
Yeah, anybody that said that was racing was one line would not pay attention.
I don't think it was one line. I think there were sections that were hard to pass.
The tight sections.
When you were coming back towards the finish and you had all the tight like switchbacks.
Triple into that right-hander, then the left and the hip. But they all funneled the inside. But I mean, even with that being said, if you committed to a line and you trusted your technique,
yes,
you can make passes. And we saw that all day in every moto.
Yep.
And even in the 450 class where we know, let's be honest, outside of 5 guys, that doesn't normally happen, but we did. So, yeah, for all the people that were saying the track was super one line, when it came down to it, yes, it was. But if you were aggressive and you trusted your chassis and you trusted the line selection that you were going to get into and not thought about it too much, you can make it work.
Yes. So what I really liked that the split lane actually worked. Because were you thinking the same thing I was when you saw it? You were
I honestly thought that you were going over the tunnel. I thought it was going to be faster. I didn't think going as far outside to the right hander. It was gonna make it work. But once again, same thing though. If you committed to that line and you knew ahead of time that coming off that step down double or whatever you want to call it, that you were going to take right. You could make it work instead of coming off the double and being all Michael Mosman. I'm like, am I going to go here? Am I going to go here? I'm going to go here. Like, yeah, you could make it work.
Yeah.
We saw it all day.
Yeah, and So I will say, though, I do think over the tunnel was still more the move. Strictly because you could sweep out and going over the wall and then back over into that rhythm section was an easier thing than having to make the tight 90 and then sweep back. So that was cool. The walls made me super nervous. Like, we talked about this. I was on the shit show Friday with Johnny and them.
Yeah.
The walls made me so nervous.
Well, especially a wall going into a 3 over a tape. People call it a quad. I'm going to get this out there because people debate this.
Boy.
I don't call it tabletop.
We're not going with the quad.
No, tabletop is one singular jump. But anyways, people can call it a quad. If you want to go call it quad, whatever. The section that Kenny was struggling with.
4-3-4.
Yeah. I don't call it that, but whatever. Out of a wall to commit to that section took a lot of cojones.
Yeah.
Because you even saw Kenny was like, I just got to sack up and do it.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I definitely could see that. But I did like, though, I mean, once again, you had to commit to it. There was a little bit of a low line that Jake Coop was doing in practice. And even the wall before you went across the short shoot straightaway that Jet crashed out in practice. I mean, you had to set up for that perfect, but you could make it work. You could either make it work going from the inside and straightening out and then angling or going outside all the way in.
I was more talking about the white wall, like the actual wall barriers.
Oh, the barriers. Oh,
I was super nervous with as much as they were crossing over them. When I actually saw how they built the track, I was like, I saw
the first thing when I saw Ouija's when he was there. I was like, somebody's going to hit that. And
then the only one that I got super concerned about by the time we got to motos was the one there, where they came out of the split section and then they went over the wall and then because they were almost sweeping out and hitting that tough block there every single lap. And I'm like, dude, all it's going to take is somebody really pressing it in there on the inside and they're going to make somebody on the outside wobble and then boom, they're going to smack that white barrier and just be into like flat on their back on the other side. Nothing happened all day.
Good.
But that was one thing that we talked about Friday. Because Cooksey was actually there.
Yep, I saw he was there Friday.
Yeah. So we were talking to him about it, and we were all a little.
I thought the same thing when I saw Ouija's when he was there when he did the first preview track walk, whatever that was, Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. But as far as the track layout, somebody who spent a lot of time in the South, I love red clay. I think it's awesome. Not really great on boots and gear or chassis.
It's fine if you got like black shit.
Yeah. But love the dirt, love how the track broke down, and it made you had to be spot on with your bike setup too. You had to because we'll
get into bike setup.
Yeah. So I loved the layout.
Did you like the split start?
Yeah, because we haven't seen something like that since the old East-West Shootout Vegas days, which was like 15 years ago. And I like this one, too, because it wasn't super sketchy, because it wasn't a long straightaway into a tight corner. It was pretty, we're going to do, like, third gear, a little bit after quarters. Like, you weren't wide open.
Yeah.
And both sides worked, because start came from both sides, all 4 motos.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm in a day and age where the bikes are so good and everybody's so close, where we always bitch about there's not a lot of separation. I felt like this track had a lot of separation.
Yeah.
If you were, once again... If you trusted yourself and you were willing to commit to a line and not overanalyze it, which the best guys won because of that, in my opinion, it worked. Now I don't know. Kev might have a different perspective because obviously, different situations and stuff. But in a guy that is very critical of tracks these days because there is no separation, I actually liked this layout. I really did.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was like the best thing they could have done. I think there was some sections that they could have changed a little bit. But for what they were working in and the area that they had, I think I think it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, even before the finish, that speed single when he came out of the sand section, we saw passes down there.
Did you see Anderson almost die?
When he was closing down Masterpool after he passed a Jet?
Both feet off the pegs over the front.
I didn't catch it the first time, and then I rewatched it again last night.
Oh, my God. I saw it first thing, and I was like, holy fudge sickles, he's dying.
My point, though, in a section like that, nowadays with these guys, you wouldn't normally see a passes like that. How many passes did we see in that like a straightaway with just a speed single?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I liked it.
Because there was a lot of guys like Jet that could get that power down to the ground and just blow by.
Well, Hayden did it. Kenny was closing. I mean, everybody. So, yes, I think the track was better than I thought because, honestly, I was like, oh, this is just going to be a really extended Supercross track. And we've
honestly,
seen...
in 7-8 years, however long we've been doing this podcast, this is probably the best hybrid track I've ever seen.
Now... LA Coliseum once again is probably going to be the more Supercross.
Just
but what do you?
Monster
but what do you think? Like Chicagoland?
I've heard Chicago is going to be even more moto than what this was, and I don't know. I got to go back and look at the track map. Here's the other thing too. They talked about how much dirt they had there or whatever. Even with the amount of dirt they had, they still ran out of dirt because when you watch the animated track map, it was so different. There were supposed to be so many more jumps that we didn't have. Now, whether it was maybe they didn't run out of dirt. Okay, let me take that back. Maybe, because I don't know, I haven't talked to any of the dudes from Dirtworks or whatever. Maybe it was more a situation of they just ran out of time to build stuff. But either way, it's like, well, on the animated track map, it was, because it was like you do that triple and then turn and then kind of do that hip double. And then there was supposed to be like 2 more like big-ish doubles or whatever. And obviously that wasn't there. It was just some little rollers or whatever. There was some other things too that's like there was supposed to be jumps where there wasn't jumps. Okay, so
I am curious to see what the dirt looks like this weekend in Chicago too.
Yeah, well, we're going to be there on Friday looking at it.
So I'm curious what the soil is going to be. We know when we go to LA Coliseum, it's just going to be hard packed clay.
Yeah,
but I am really curious to see if they're going to try to incorporate clay with a lot of sand.
How many gunshots do you think we'll hear in LA?
I don't know. From at the track or outside of the track?
Inside the track. Like, how many do you think we're going to hear on TV?
Probably like 20 at least every 10 minutes.
I think so. Yeah, me too. So, yeah. All right. So enough track talk here. Let's jump in. 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. Zane, get well soon, buddy.
What happened to Zane?
Broke his arm. Right on the growth plate.
Oh.
Right. I mean, dude, Caleb posted a picture and it's like... I was like, oh God,
that kid has some bad luck.
Yeah, so
get well soon, Zane. I didn't know that.
Get well soon, Zane. So Gutterworks always well hung, just like Justin Barsha and Jason Anderson.
We don't need to tell that story.
We're not telling that story anymore. Make sure to check them out. Gutterworks. I don't know the website. It's in the link in the description down below.
We are great
at this. I would normally have it wrote down. I need to redo these notes. They've been the same all year, but I got 2 more races, so screw it. We're just going with
fine.
it. So, all right, so 450 race recap here. Sexton breaks the streak, man.
Very impressed.
He rode really good yesterday.
Hey, man, put the Supercross suspension on, and he's back in his fucking world.
Tuck that front, son!
Oh, dude, he's back in. Did you even hear the comment that apparently he was talking about? He's like, yeah, like I even might even think about running like a Supercross suspension come outdoors. Which makes sense for his style with how strong he is.
At any point in that second moto, were you like, so this is the point where he tucks the front end?
Part of me,
like, were you waiting for it? Because I was waiting for
I honestly, and we'll definitely talk about this when we get to Jet. I honestly thought. The first moto, when he ran away, there was no point when he got that gap, about 7.5 seconds or whatever it was. Like, you could tell he was managing it. Because let's be real, if he wanted to pull that to double-digit seconds, he could have. Mm-hmm. He probably could have put 13, 14 on Dylan and Kenny if he wanted to. But after he got around Kenny, he started walking away a little bit. And then when Jet got around Kenny, and it got down to like 4.5, I honestly was thinking, I'm like, I know there's not a lot of time left. But I'm like, if Jet starts closing in, I'm like, that's when I'm thinking, are we going to see the same chase we saw at Supercross? Like, all of a sudden, here we go again. Like, the first moto didn't matter. It was just a fluke, whatever. But no, man, like, he stayed in it. He stayed confident. And I won't get to it too much because when we talk about Jet, I really want to make my point with how I thought Jet's race went. But that is a big confidence boost for Chase because I fully stand by Chase winning. Yeah,
I know. I'm watching that thing.
If Chase wouldn't have won that second moto, that first moto would have been completely negated, and I don't think it would have mattered. But for confidence, Chase winning both of those motos, and honestly, having Jet hounding him for a good portion of that second moto, like staying within striking distance, and Jet never being able to close the gap because, dude, it stayed to like 4.5 to 5-1 the whole entire time when Jet closed on Chase. Chase had the fastest lap, the second moto, by over 0.6 of a second. The fastest lap of the first moto by, I don't know, it was a lot, the first moto. It's a big confidence boost, and it's something that I will disagree, and I've heard a couple of people, but Weege is the one name that come to mind. I was watching his post-show, and he was talking about, can Chase take a lot from this, but it's a different series. There's 2 more rounds to go. But I disagree, man. With all the talk there's been about Chase and Jet, and Chase being pissed off, and outdoors not going the way he wanted, never leading a lap, and not beating him, and other than like 3 motos really being close, I think if you're Chase, a guy that we've talked about enough on this show who might, mentally sometimes a little unstable, I think you can take a lot of confidence from how yesterday went. If you're Chase, you can take a lot of good things and go, this might be different when we go to Supercross. Now, KTM next year, who knows? It can go either way. But for right now, for these last 2 rounds, if I'm Chase, I'm not taking any negatives away from this weekend. I'm going, I beat him both motos. First moto, struggling with bike setup, whatever. Second moto, I had him there for half the moto, whatever it was, and he couldn't close on me. And I was faster than him the whole time. If I'm Chase, I'm looking this whole entire weekend, not 1 point as a negative. If I'm Chase. If it's me that's Chase, I don't take a negative out the entire weekend. Because, dude, he rode flawless the whole fucking time.
I will tell you, I did not think that was how his day was going to go yesterday after qualifying.
Oh, after Jet put it on top of the board at the end?
Qualifying, I was like watching that, and I'm like, oh, man, what is going on with Jet? Like, oh, man. And then we get to the end of qualifying, and he goes like half a second faster, and I'm like, well, glad to see things haven't changed.
I will get to my point, though, why I think otherwise when we talk about Jet. But I could definitely see that, though, and I'm thinking, well,
I mean, what else would you believe there?
The fact that it took
qualifying,
the fact that it took all the way down to the last minute for Jet to put in one good lap.
I will agree that, like, watching it, I was like, "Ooh, he doesn't look great today."
But that's not the normal case.
But then when you get to the end, and all of a sudden he's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, not only did first off, when he crashed in that first qualifying session, fucking pissed. Oh, was he mad?
He's pissed. He's pissed right now. He's pissed right now, no matter what.
Like, as cool, calm, and collective as Jet, and we might as well just get to Jet here because this is kind of going to be the talk here anyway, as the Chase versus Jet thing and what we're going to see. So Jet goes 7-2 for 4th.
By the way, we're not skipping over Dylan and Kenny.
We'll get to them, but this is
this
the conversation here. But you could so as cool, calm, and collective as Jet is, and like kind of like, I don't really, there's not much going on up here, blah blah blah. There's a lot, and I think there's a lot more.
And we've seen it a few times in his 250 days.
I think there's a lot more of the Ricky side of
he hates to lose more than he likes to win.
More than I like to win in him than what we actually have seen so far, and I think we're going to see more as we progress forward. He was not stoked yesterday.
He wasn't happy the entire time.
Point. Now I do think a lot of the qualifying stuff and the first moto stuff was very setup related.
But that's part of it, though.
Well, I understand that's part of it, but I just think they came in, much like everyone else, and said, okay, this is going to be very Supercross-y-ish, just a bigger Supercross track. So everybody came in with a Supercross setup, and then all of a sudden they were like, uh-oh. And like they just didn't make the change fast enough. Now you look at that second moto there, and
he was better,
dude.
But he didn't slice through though as quickly as
he did. He didn't at first because it took him a few minutes to get going. And at first, I was like, "Oh man, like he's really like fuck."
This is going to be harder though in Supercross.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden, it was like the switch flipped, and he was. I mean, you even heard Jason Thomas. He's like, "Dude, he's riding out of his mind right now," and you could watch it. Cooksey was texting me during qualifying, and he's like, "Dude, he's like Jet is toying with them. He's like Jet has." He's like, no one else is even trying that rhythm that Jet's doing. And he's like, Jet's crushing it every single lap. Like that 4.34, whatever it was there on that rhythm there. He was like, dude, he's like, these guys are all screwed. Like, because Jet is doing it. And honestly, like I said, coming out of qualifying, when he laid that lap, the last one, I was like, man, Cooksey is right. He's literally just been out there dicking around the whole time. Like, he was pissed after the first one. Then he comes out the second one, and he drops his lap time by like 3 seconds, which I was like, okay, he's just getting into normal range here. And then then he dropped it another 3 seconds there at the end, and I went, oh, yep. So he's just playing with them. Then, of course, like I said, then you go back to they missed the setup. His starts weren't good either all day. He definitely did not crush those
I think
starts.
that has something to do with the fact that in outdoors, like, obviously, this is going to sound super basic, wide first turn.
Yeah.
Somebody that just pulls the trigger and doesn't think about it, hold it wide open. You have a lot more room for error with the tight corners in Supercross. Obviously, 2-time Supercross champ. We know that's not an issue. But you have to think about it more on a 450, man. You can't just come third gear wide open into a first turn on a 450 on a Supercross track.
I do have to say, too, what was I watching? I don't know, something. And maybe it was a Vital thing from Friday when they were riding. And he came off that starting gate on Friday and didn't look good. Like on Friday in just like a practice start, and I was like, "Ooh, that's weird," because like usually his starts have been on point.
Dude, he
obviously
nailed almost every start, every moto outdoors.
Dude, somebody was talking about Ironman, and I didn't really see all of it because I wasn't like obviously I was there. They said that second moto in Ironman, they couldnn't believe it because they were like, "Dude, he was sleeping on the gate."
Well, it's because the Anderson malfunction. Anderson jumped and
Anderson
then
twitched.
like
That's
pivoted,
right,
and then he was like almost. He was the second last person off the gate. Anderson was the only one who was last,
and he was 3 bike lengths ahead going.
And then
into
all of
the
a sudden he
first
came in.
corner.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Holy crap!" So it was super weird that his starts weren't good all day, and then like I said, then they just missed the setup that first moto, but the second moto, there was a while there, probably up until like 3-ish minutes, 4 minutes to go, that I thought, oh, he's going to go get Chase.
But when he closed the gap on Chase, though,
yeah, then Chase didn't pick it back up.
He couldn't catch him.
Like I said, there was a while, and once he got around Kenny, then there was a couple laps there that I was like, okay,
put
he's
in some
going to go
heaters,
get him.
But then Chase would drop another
closed
heater.
and he closed it a little bit, and then it didn't work. So
we can't forget that Chase, as much as we talk about last year with him and Eli outdoors, I still believe Chase is a better Supercross rider.
Yeah. Here's
my thing about Jet. And
I still think Jet's going to be better at Supercross than what yesterday portrayed. I think yesterday, the vibe I've gotten from all the interviews I've heard is that this caught everyone so off guard with what the setup was actually going to need to be like.
Well, what I think it proves, though, is that he's going to have to be a lot. He's going to have to go. We always talk about, is he riding at 80, 85, 90%? To beat Chase on a Supercross track,
he's going to have to be
90, at his best all the time.
Plus, yep.
And here's my thing, what I will say about Jet, what surprised me yesterday.
Chase is still switching bikes, and I'm not convinced he's going to jump right on that KTM.
Yeah, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out. But I'm just saying, if he can get it figured out quickly, because I think that bike is a lot better than people give it credit, we're going to find out. But all I'll say is, for these next 2 rounds, if Jet's not perfect, Chase is going to beat him every time. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think this is like outdoors. And here's what I'll say about with Jet for Supercross. I honestly believed, we had this talk about Chase, and we won't talk about Eli because that's a different conversation. He didn't race this year outdoors. I honestly thought going into Supercross, I was like, if Jet crushed it this much outdoors, I was like, he's going to be even better in Supercross. And I'll lay out the reasons. Obviously, we always talk about Jet, very light on the bike. He doesn't use a lot of energy. We know in Supercross, margin for error. If you do transfer a little bit more energy one side of the bike, it is really easy to mistime your section and blow the whole section and literally blow the corner, whatever. So you factor that in. You factor in how much natural talent this kid is. We've heard it with Dan Truman and everybody, and we've watched it, and all the shit that he's fucking around when he's doing nose wheelies before the starts or whatever. And his muscle memory is so good. Even when he's a little loose and he is not really processing it, his body just knows what to do. Mm-hmm. And another big thing in outdoors is he's somebody that doesn't overanalyze his line selections. When he commits to a line selection, he is so confident that it's going to work, where a lot of guys, you see in Supercross, they struggle with it because they're like, okay, and I make jokes with Mosman, I'm going to come over and now I'm going to set up for this. But then you see them, they're like, well, shit, when it starts breaking down, I'm going to take this rut. What if I mistime this? What if I do this? Without really going deep into it. Jet doesn't do that stuff. He's very free in the head when it comes to, this is my line, I'm comfortable that I'm going to make it work. I thought in Supercross, because of those things, that was going to make him even better. Mm-hmm. But then I started realizing yesterday in some of the sections, even with how long it took him to nail that section, the rhythm, and then everybody else picked it up, the few times he mistimed it, he faced going when he was 3 and out or 4 and out or whatever you want to call it. And he did it a couple times in the motos too. Because everybody is so close in Supercross in the 450 class, I think Jet is actually going to have to do something that he never really had to do to succeed, and obviously it's Jet. He's going to figure it out. He's got 5 championships. He's going to be one of the greatest of all time. He's going to have to push sometimes beyond his comfort zone to make up that time, where in the 250s, he did it just because he always was grabbing traction because he was so light on the bike where guys couldn't hit sections that he could. Like I said, on the 450, you get loose in a section. As long as you're willing to commit and get a little loose, you can hit anything. You can hit the quad. You can do this. 250s, you couldn't do that. You had to be perfect, where Jet always was perfect on the 250. And we always talk about, man, he's like skimming quads and all this kind of shit. The 450s, you have to be willing to ride a little bit into the red sometimes to pick up the 10th here, 10th there. And I think that's something the Jet's going to have to do in Supercross. Obviously, he's going to figure it out. It's Jet fucking Lawrence. But I think it's something that he's going to have to be willing to do, because even with the setup, when he got passed by Ando and Kenny yesterday in that first moto, Kenny, half a bike length behind going to those little rollers before the flat right. Kenny just held it wide open. He just committed to pushing into the outside. Same thing with Ando in that little short shoot section. He flat tracked around the inside. Normally, Jet is so calm and making people ride his race, and he dictates the pace, that in Supercross, if you get a bad start, you don't have the margin for error to do it in outdoors. And obviously, he's going to get it figured out. It's like I said, it's Jet Lawrence. But I think what I thought originally was going to make him even better in Supercross, even for somebody like me who's been very critical of Jet, but also given his flowers when it's been time and everything he's done this past season, it made me realize that I was wrong about that. I don't think with his style, it automatically made him a better Supercross rider on the 450. I think it did outdoors because he's hopping, skipping, he's using less energy. So that was the big takeaway from me yesterday. He got it figured out, and he was his normal self that second moto. But I'll say even that, I kind of thought for a little bit he was going to catch Chase, and then Chase did what Chase does on a Supercross track, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is why Chase made fucking Eli go to the limit at times.
That's why he has that number 1 plate for next year.
So it's like...
But I will say this, too. I think what happened to Jet yesterday...
There's a reality check.
...should scare the fuck out of everyone else.
Outside of Chase. I don't think it should scare Chase.
To an extent. But at some point, I think, barring him just being the next coming of Jesus, essentially, and just never fucking losing in his entire career here on a 450, we all knew this was going to happen at some point. Like, at some point, shit was going to start to happen fast for him in a 450 race, and it was going to be like, holy crap, what's going on?
Yeah.
Now it's happened literally at the first playoffs, okay? Now, whether it happens the next 2 or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I do believe that, like, no matter how these next 2 go, whether he starts running away with it or the same kind of thing happens, it's now broadened his horizons here of like, okay, this is what could happen, and this is how I have to do it.
Everything's not fucking tea and cookies.
Which is a problem because he's going to have these 3 races, like I said, whether it happens all 3 or not, and then he's going to have a full-blown off-season to mentally and physically prepare himself and the bike going into Supercross.
I think physically he's going to have to get stronger.
They needed... Everybody should be pissed that these SMX playoffs are going on right now, because when they needed this to happen would have been next year in Supercross in order to really fluster him and kind of take him down a peg.
Yeah.
Because if this happens in Supercross season, when you've got, essentially 12 races in a row before you even get a break, I think that fucks his whole Supercross season. And I think it makes it very difficult for him to go out and dominate like he did in outdoors.
It's lost Eli championships in the past. We've seen what happens when you have a bad weekend. It can snowball.
But the fact now that he's now going to go through this adversity and be able to not only try to figure it out over the course of a few races here, but then have a full-blown off season to get in the mindset and the area of the bike and everything to go past this. I mean, dude, I
agree with that.
I thought they were screwed before, and now I'm like, you're really fucked.
I agree with that, outside of everybody not named Chase Sexton or Eli Tomac.
Because you're not going to get this again. This is the time that you're going to rattle him.
Maybe.
The only way I see you really rattling him out again, because you're not going to...
I don't think he was rattled, though. I don't think he was rattled, dude. I think he just got a realization that Supercross on a 450 to go fast.
That's what I mean by rattled.
So
okay?
rattled,
That's
I don't
what
think
I mean by
mental,
rattled.
yeah.
It's like, oh, this isn't outdoors. Like, I'm not just
but he's gonna have to
blitz by people essentially.
But he's gonna have to do something though that he's not that he's never had to do before, which is we will have to see where I think he's gonna have to get physically stronger. We saw it Chase after Chase got PEDs.
Oh boy.
But you see what I'm saying, though? I think Jet is going to have to do something, and that's where I think it's. I don't think it's going to be that easy.
I agree with that. It's not going to be easy. But he's got a whole off season now with his dad, Johnny O,
he's going to get it figured out. He's going to get
for them to bury down and be like, okay,
he's going to get it figured out. I'm just saying that I think why I say everybody outside of Chase Sexton and Eli, because they've already figured that out in their career that you can only go so fast on a Supercross track before you start going into territory that physically and mentally you can't do it anymore, and that your bike just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that Jet has yet to have to realize that. He may have realized a little bit yesterday, but granted, that wasn't a full-blown Supercross track.
Yeah.
But Chase and Eli already know what the limit is on a Supercross track on a 450. Jet has yet to have to experience that. So that's why I say I agree with everybody not named Chase and Eli, because they know the limit. They know how far you can go before you start going, I can't do this anymore mentally and physically. I just can't do it, or the bike just won't handle it. That's why I say Jet is going to have to do something for the first time in his career that he's never had to do, and I think he's going to have to go past his comfort zone. Because let's be real, even in the weekends that he lost on the 250, you could be kind of like, was he really pushing it? There were a few times
when you have a torpedo by the name of RJ Hampshire that just...
Yeah, I know, fucking white lightning.
White lightning in there.
But he's going to have to do something that he's essentially never had to do in his entire career, and that's where I think it's going to be for Chase and Eli. They go... We've already experienced that. Now he's got to. We know he's going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But mentally, when he figures it out, how far is he going to be willing to do that week in and week out to win? And that's the thing that's different is how much is Jet going to be willing to lay his body on the line to win races?
So I want to make this statement, and I want to ask you this question, and I'll try to remember to do this again during the Supercross preview, but I want to do this right now while it's on my mind.
Okay.
So I think, just because of where they're at in their careers, I think Jet is going to take the speed of Supercross, per se, to the next level. Okay? Can we agree on that? He's the next generation, essentially, okay? So I think he's going to take it to the next level. I believe where Sexton's at in his career, he has the ability to go there with him, okay? I don't believe that Eli is going, and this is crazy to say, but I don't believe that Eli is going to be able to go to that next speed level. He's just not at that point in his career, okay? Because he's not going to take, we saw it this year a little bit, he's not going to take that risk to go to that next level. He's going to, he's entering the point in his career, and again, we saw it this year, where he's more the, I know my lane, I know exactly how fast I can go, and if it goes past that, there's no sense in me trying to do that.
What do you think, though, that if he feels like doing it one day, though, or one night, I should say?
Maybe.
Because if he feels like doing it,
maybe.
And I go back to A1, and what about Houston?
Yeah, but I will ask you, do you think he's going to do that? Maybe there is a random race.
Are you talking about
do you think Eli is going to be able to go next level speed with Jet and Chase here?
It depends on if he wants to win the championship.
I think Chase is at that point in his career where he's still young enough that he can shut his brain off and go there. And I think Jet is that next level speed, and so he's going to raise the bar. And then Chase is going to come up with that, per se. But I don't believe at the point of Eli's career right now where he is that he wants to go up there. He might go a half a level with them and like on certain nights, but I don't think he's going to that next bar week in and week out.
It all depends on if he wants to win this championship. If he really is committed to win the championship, we've said this before, he's only had to manage races in the last couple years because he's had such a big points lead.
Yeah.
We've saw what he can do when he wants to go beast mode, and I go back to the night, was it Houston, the first East round, when Chase dominated him all day, and then what happened in the main?
Yeah.
Eli was just like, I don't really care about you. I'm just going to walk away from you. And Chase had nothing, and all of us sat here the next day and we were like, what the fuck happened? Like, there was no way. So I guess it all depends. Like, is Eli going to want to win this championship and be willing to one last hoorah to prove to the young bucks that the old guard is still the better guard before he walks off into the sunset and we never see him again? Or if he's just trying to make it through this year and not have his legacy, even though none of us believe that's his legacy of him ending his career on an injury.
Yeah.
Because I still believe that if he wants to, he can do it. And the difference with Eli, and this is not a knock on Jet because I say the same thing for Chase. The difference with Eli is when he goes to that level, Eli can do it for a whole entire main.
Yeah.
Eli was not going to 3 laps and then we're going to shut off and then we're going to do it for 3 laps. We know that Chase can't run that pace for an entire main without making a mistake. It'll be yet to be proven if Jet can do it. Probably can because, once again, this is Jet. But we don't know yet. Eli, we know that if he wants to do it, he can do it for a whole entire main. That is the difference. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
But to answer your question, right now, no. Because I don't believe that Eli is going to risk it to win a championship that, let's be honest, as far as legacy goes, he has to prove to these kids. He doesn't have shit to prove to Jet Lawrence and Chase Sexton and anybody else, and none of us. He doesn't have shit to prove to anybody. He's going to go down as one of the greatest, and he's already on the Mount Rushmore. If you want to take Stu off and you put him on there and it's him, RV, and Ricky, or if you want to take RV off and it's him, Stu, and Ricky, he's already on the Mount Rushmore as one of the top 3. Insert whoever, it's not Ricky. Take Stu or RV off. He's on there. He doesn't have shit to prove to anybody.
No.
So,
which is interesting because that means the only reason he's coming back is because he has something to prove to himself. Which,
so
when you have something to prove to yourself, that's dangerous.
So, if that's the case, and you believe that statement that just came out of your mouth, what's the answer to your question then?
I don't think. I think he can go. As far as I'm concerned, at this current moment, I think he can go another half level. But I think the half level is as far as he's going to go, and I think that's strictly based. I mean, he's got. 3 kids, which he said he can't have any more because he's only got 3 bedrooms in the or 4-bedroom house.
He's just gonna buy a bigger house.
No. He said he's not moving, and that's it.
Yeah,
so anyway, so he's got kids, he's got the wife, he's got millions of dollars in the bank, he's got a hunting cabin, probably all the ammo and arrows he could ever use.
Porsches.
Yeah, so he's set. So this is strictly to prove to himself that he can finish off on a high note, which again is dangerous. And the only question really turns into then if Jet goes to the next level, because we all think essentially that Jet is the next level as far as Supercross goes. Then how many nights can he either consistent his way into this title or go on the half level on the nights that Jet's there and be better than him?
Here's the thing. On the nights that Chase and Jet aren't on, I'm going to take Eli over them. I will say this right away.
I mean, those are the 3 next year.
We're going to, it's those 3. There's some guys mixed in, but it's those 3, and it's been those 3. We've known this.
Yeah.
I think we'll know right away at A1.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think that if Eli comes out and he rides at A1 like he did this A1, that's going to be like, okay. Eli's in this. He really wants to win this. If he comes out and he gets like 4th or 5th, we'll like, all right, no, he's kind of going to take it easy. But mark my words, timestamp this, whatever this is. If Eli Tomac comes out and wins A1 2024, whatever weekend that is in January, whatever the date is, we're all going to sit here on Sunday. Everybody's going to sit here Saturday night after the races and go, oh no, Eli, he wants to win this championship. And that's the thing that, once again, for me, who has never been a big Eli Tomac fan, that I will sit there and go, Jet and Chase are in for a fucking season.
Yep.
Because if he just goes out and he gets 5th and be like, well, it's just going to be Chase and Jet, and Eli's going to go in there and win a race or 2, probably win Daytona.
Yeah.
But if he goes out and wins, Chase and Jet better go, oh boy, this is going to be a lot rough season. Because I think in their mind, I think that they low-key kind of believe that old man Eli Tomac might not be in it next year.
I'm not trying to make this out to be like I'm 100% that he isn't
because
be
we
a
don't
factor
know.
at all.
Yeah.
Because we just don't know. But it'll be interesting. All right, let's continue on our 450 tribute here or recap here.
Dylan.
All right, no. So Ken goes 3-3 for second.
Oh yeah, you forgot we put Jet in there for.
Man, did you think he was going to run away with that second moto there?
No, man. Honestly, it would have been really cool, but I'm just sitting there going and I'm watching how Chase rode the first moto, and then obviously looking at the fact that Jet had his chassis dialed in.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he looked more confident, and I'm going, Man, Ken's got to have a bigger lead than this.
I don't know. He put 5-6 seconds on him that first
But
5
the thing
minutes.
though is how many times did Kenny do that? He does
and
this,
I went,
though.
oh, okay.
But Kenny does this all the time, though. We've seen it enough. I mean, I know he won Indy this year, but obviously that was more.
There was some low-key talk going in about Kenny possibly winning this because we all know he's a good starter as far as, like, series goes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the series is only 3 races. So, like, this is perfect for him because it's like by the time everybody else gets warmed up and going, he's won the title.
I think more of the talk is going to be a battle between him and Dylan for third.
Yeah, probably.
I think if LA Coliseum is a little bit more Supercross-ish and it's a lot more tight, it's not going to get rutted because it's Cali dirt.
Yeah.
And it's in Los Angeles. Granted, they might be bringing the dirt. They're probably going to bring the dirt from somewhere else. But as far as the next round goes in Chicago, no, I mean, would have been a cool story. Yeah, and he got the rhythm section figured out, and he sacked up, and he's like, I got to do it. I got to do this. But at no point did I watch him, even with the 6 or 7 second lead, and I go, man, he's going to be able to withstand this for 20 minutes. Like, I just didn't believe it because Chase and Jet would have had to really stall out halfway into that moto for me to believe that they weren't going to be able to catch him because, dude, they were going like 1.2 faster than him at like the 12-minute mark. So, or the 12-minute mark. So no, it would have been cool, but I don't know, man. The Suzuki looked good. He looked good, especially when he got that rhythm section figured out. He didn't look, not that I was really concerned that he was going to look rusty or a little bit tentative.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't raced since, the World Supercross round or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, I honestly believe it's going to be between him and Dylan for this third spot at the next 2 rounds. But I guess I was more surprised in the sense that they didn't have as much chassis set up with the hybrid because of the fact that, High Point was High Point, but it was a mud fest. Mm-hmm. They didn't really have an outdoor setting going in or like a middle setting. They had a Supercross setting, and then once again, High Point was just greasy as fuck, and, you could just put whatever setting you want out there, and it wasn't going to matter anyway. So, I don't know. I think his bike looked really good. But then again, though, we did have a set of whoops. So
yeah. So I don't know. Dylan goes 2-4 for third.
I was a little shocked
that he was that good.
That he was that good the first moto. I kind of thought that he would. I knew he could get on the box, but I didn't really think he was going to be able to get into second that quickly and stay. I mean, I know Kenny caught him, but I honestly thought talking about bike setup a lot, with as much as they chase their tail outdoors and then not really having a Supercross season,
this is going to be a big struggle.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a lot bigger struggle because even in practice, like he wasn't super good in practice. I don't know what he ended up qualifying, like probably 5th or 6th, I think it was. I don't know, but like even in the Supercross section, I was like, dude, to hit that line, I honestly thought his suspension was going to be a little bit too soft. Mm-hmm. And, dude, he had no problem through the rhythm section. Like, he was soaking it up. He was staying low. He was hitting it perfect. The bike was planted in the corners.
Press release. Struggles in outdoor lead to perfect setup.
Yeah, I know. Fucking
SMX.
Weird, dude. No, I was pleasantly surprised. I hope he can keep this rolling for the last 2 rounds and this just kind of have a good send-off with Star.
Yeah.
Before he goes to Triumph.
What?
He's talking to Triumph right now.
They're not going to have a 450 until...
No, they're talking about him taking a year off. Huh. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but he's apparently been talking to them.
Chris said he's got a ride.
That's what Jimmy Button said, too, at Iron Man, but I think that the ride might be Triumph.
Huh. I have to ask.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the rumor has been, that he's been talking to Triumph.
It's weird how that bike that came out in that video looks exactly the same as the one I posted pictures
right?
of last week.
Right?
It is crazy.
I also think it's funny that they took it's a KTM from a couple years ago with a little bit of tweaks to it, and Ricky and Evan Fair are like, man, this is the best handling bike ever. I'm like, it's a fucking KTM, dude.
Yes, it is.
It's a fucking KTM.
All right, so we already talked about Jet. Ando here goes 4-5 for 5th, almost died.
Dude, Jesus.
That would have sucked, dude. He was so far over the front of that bike. My butthole puckered. I was like, oh my God, he's dying.
He had to have just buried it off that sand single or something.
That whole sand section was gnarly all day.
Oh, dude, especially because you were coming off it with not a lot of speed and you were just kind of spinning, and then a lot of people were leaning.
Well, and then what you were jumping into is where those two berms did this.
Oh, I know.
So it was like you were jumping and having to pick. It was like a widow's peak there in the center. So this is a good ride for Ando, though. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when we get it to LA, maybe he wins one there.
I think
I've heard he's pissed and he's got like something to prove here.
Oh yeah, I think he's got a lot to prove because Supercross, dude, we all kind of thought he'd be battling for the title, if not winning the title, with how 2022 went.
Yeah,
he was really a non-factor all season. Outdoors was obviously outdoors for him. He had some bright moments when he came back and whatever, but I like that. A little bit of old Ando came back in that first moto when he was up there with Jet after like he was closing on Jet and then Jet passed him. And Ando's like, listen, kid, like I know you've been whooping my ass all outdoors, bro, but this is Supercross. This is what I'm good at. And dude, the fact that he like flat tracked twice on the inside and went around him, I'm like, it's not gonna last long, but I'm like, that's impressive. I was like, all right, good for you. Like it looked like a little bit of old Ando where he didn't take shit from anybody.
Yeah.
No, man, he rode good. The problem that we're gonna have, and this is kind of like the Stu Ricky Chad effect is that right now until Eli comes back, Chase and Jet, and I know we watched it all outdoors, but they're so much better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we forget that these dudes behind them are some of the best in the world, and we forget how good they are. And like Ando, like we're talking about a dude who won 7 races last year.
Yeah,
or seven, 8. Yeah, seven. So it's like, dude, this guy knows how to ride a Supercross track.
7, and he won an outdoor moto.
Yeah, so it's like, you're right. Maybe when we get to LA, depending on what the track looks like if he gets a start and it just, once again, there's not a gnarly rhythm and everybody's just kind of playing follow leader, totally he could win. I think right now, if he just kind of gets a start and he can run up front for a little bit and hold off Chase and Jet and keep them at bay for more than a lap, I think that's a success because not a lot of people have been able to do that this year.
Yeah. All right, so AP goes 5-6 for 6th. He was sad panda because there was no rain and no one threw a dildo at him on the podium this weekend. So
a dildo on the podium.
You didn't see that in Iron Man?
No.
Somebody threw this huge blue dildo at him while he was doing his interview, like went right between him and Jason Thomas on TV.
Jesus.
And so then he got done with it and he picked that thing up and launched it like 50 yards into the crowd, dude. Just picked it up off the stage, one-handed, just yanked that thing into the crowd, dude. It was awesome. And then the best thing I saw ever about it was somebody had made a meme, because somebody got a picture of him. Literally, he's got beer in one hand, he's got this huge dildo in the other hand, just wind up face like this to launch it into the crowd, right? And then somebody made a meme that said, Aaron Plessinger launches the new Star Racing Factory Edition Haley Deegan dildo into the crowd. I was like, I was dying. I was dying. Anyway,
it's kind of just been his season so far.
This is just where he's at.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of.
He obviously had a better first moto. He looked more spicy the first moto. He was more of in a battle, but I think the thing is, too, because even though I believe that track was one line and there was places to make passes, because once again, if you got a little bit of a gap on someone, because for you to make a pass, you having to be aggressive, if you were 2 seconds back, it was going to be really hard to make up. If you were in a battle, locked in a battle, and everybody's kind of freight trained, you could make something happen. You could be aggressive, make a line stick, hold it on a little bit longer. But that was the thing, though. Once again, the 450 class in a Supercross track, like, if you're down by 2 seconds, unless you're just willing to bonsai, which is not AP style,
no,
you're not going to make up time. So I think he had a good weekend because what else were we really expecting him to do? You know, he wasn't going to beat Dylan. He wasn't going to beat Kenny. He wasn't going to beat Chase and Jet. Probably, it's not going to beat Ando. Like, he's going to finish where Barsh is going to finish.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see here. Speaking of Barsha, he goes 6-8 for 7th. I didn't really expect any more out of him.
Do you still think he's dealing with his injury?
Maybe.
Because he kind of, even the first moto.
I mean, he was off the bike for a long ass time.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you expect? Like, like, no matter how much he was doing other stuff, he was off the bike for
Yeah.
a long-ass time there with dealing with that.
I think that's just where he's going to be the rest of the 2 rounds.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. This is interesting. So Cooper Webb goes 8-7 for 8th. Back on the star bike here.
He doesn't say it's the bike. He says it's him. He says the bike's fine. He says it's him. He says, I got to work on myself, not the bike.
Okay.
That's just right from the horse's mouth, man.
Sure.
I don't know what to believe. I mean, honestly, what were we expecting? He's been on that.
Really, I wasn't expecting.
Let's be honest. He's been on that bike for 2 months. He tested it last year, whatever it was. But he's been on the bike for like 2 months, month and a half, whatever.
He's been riding that bike a lot.
Yeah, but he hasn't raced a Yamaha in a very long time. And now we're talking about a new generation chassis that, outside of Eli, has been very up and down the whole entire year for everybody else not named Eli Tomac. So it's like, what were you going to expect? And now you're going into a hybrid track where you don't really know where your setting's going to be. You try to give and take a little bit.
Look, here's the thing. I'm not judging him on any of these 3 races.
No.
I'll see you at A1, bud.
Yeah, he's going to, I think, dude, he's going to have the whole offseason. He's not doing any offseason races as far as it sounds, which is smart. He's going to have a whole offseason. He's come out. He's going to be fine. It's Cooper Webb. He's fucking 2-time Supercross champ. He's going to be fine. There were people like, yeah, what if he comes back? I'm like, why would you believe he's going to come back and mix it up?
Yeah.
He's been fucking riding a chromoly steel chassis for 4 years now, whatever it's been. And this is a brand new bike that, once again, has been very critical of chassis setup. And now you're going to a track that is half and half. What the fuck are you going to do? Especially for somebody like Coop, who is now going to have to get used to. He's not going to be able to turn down in corners as hard as he did on the KTM. He's going to have to round his corners more. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's Cooper Webb.
We'll
He'll
see,
be okay.
We'll see you at A1,
We'll
bud.
see you at A1, bro.
All right. So Marchbanks goes 10-9 for 9th. Okay.
Good day. Well, I mean, top 10.
That's fine.
Still think it's fucking stupid that he's going to ride a 250 for Supercross next year.
Yeah. Colt Nichols on that PRMX, or no, what is it? Partzilla?
Partzilla.
Yeah, whatever. Cowie there goes 12-10 for 10th. Ty Masterpool got some great starts
Has
yesterday.
9 minutes in him before he dies.
Has 9 minutes in him
because
before he
had
dies.
appendicitis.
This was a big topic on the show on Friday.
It should be,
because they
dude.
were like, dude, like, at what point does it come into the well-being of other people around you? Because, like, if something happens, you know, and
or, not dying.
yeah.
Because, like, for anybody that doesn't know, like, your appendix bursts, you can die.
You can die, yeah. Like, you don't immediately die.
No.
Because I saw there were people talking about that on the show on Friday, too, in the chat. And it's like, yeah, we know he doesn't immediately die, but, like, it could go bad really quickly there.
Yeah, I don't really know. I didn't.
But 11-12 for 11th, so okay.
I mean, dude, he had speed at the beginning, and this
Yeah.
was kind of a thing. Like, even though this wasn't a true Supercross track.
Where did he struggle?
Where
did he struggle?
Yeah, he struggled on the Supercross stuff.
Exactly.
So that was the thing is like, for where he ended up, like, hey, man, he did better than I thought because I guess I really didn't know what to think. He never hit the fast line in the rhythm section.
Nope.
There wasn't a whoop section.
Nope.
But he also didn't look timid. He just was not willing to hit it because,
Yeah.
dude, he's riding a 450 for the first time probably ever on a legit Supercross section.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's been riding Supercross down at the 956 facility, but he's not been in a race situation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, like, what do you expect?
That pretty much this. So, Freddie Noren goes 13-11 for 12.
Yeah, whatever.
Phil wins the LCQ, and he goes 14-13 for 13.
Okay.
All right.
It doesn't really like Supercross at all.
Yeah, Grant Harling goes 16-14 for 14. Justin Hill goes...
I thought Grant Harlan would be a little better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I could have seen him closer to that top 10 there. But
Justin Hill was a big disappointment, to be honest with
Justin Hill didn't do hardly
That
anything.
was- that was-
15 for 15th.
you. I will say, I know you're not a big Justin Hill fan, but with the way he ended Supercross, can
Yeah.
we both agree he should have been top 10, right?
Yeah, we'll see if he gets a little bit better here over these next two.
Well, and he's riding that Cowie, though. I don't think he's on that. He's riding the Cowie, wasn't he?
No, he's on that same. He's on the same bike.
Is he?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Was doing there.
The Tedder.
He is on a Cowie. You are correct, but yes, there.
No, that's what I mean. So because he's on the Cowie that he was riding for World Supercross, but he was riding a KTM during Supercross. He's riding a Super KTM. Yeah, so he was. He was on the Cowie.
Yeah.
That's surprised me. I thought he was going to be back on the KTM.
Yeah, that's actually what I thought they were supposed to be because I thought Tedder was coming to the race. So
But he was
that's
on a
interesting.
Cowie, and then when I
don't
didn't
know.
notice that because like there was no reason, there wasn't a
Yeah.
lot of footage of him. And then when I saw him on the start, I'm like, he's riding a fucking Kawasaki, and I'm like, oh, he's riding the same bike he was riding for World Supercross. I thought he was going to be on his bike that he was riding for Supercross over here.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have stayed on the KTM.
Yeah, it says. AC goes 922 for 16.
Almost died again
Almost
in the second
died.
moto. Oh my god, dude. AC, brother. Come on. Like,
Have you listened to Gypsy Tales with him yet?
no, but I've been meaning to.
About halfway through, it's pretty good.
But the whole thing's not good. It only gets good about halfway in.
No, I don't know. I'm just
you're halfway
I've
through.
only listened to half of it.
I guess he goes into still his little bit of dislike for Coop and the rivalry that goes back.
I haven't got to that part yet.
Yeah, I don't know how far it is. It's in my watch list for YouTube. Look, man, I've said this before with AC. I'm happy that he's just out there racing. The sport is better with him in it.
Yes.
He can finish. He finally finished a whole entire season, not without some struggles and missing a few rounds, both Supercross and outdoors, obviously. It was rough at some point. I think with AC, this is just kind of where he is at his point of his career. With everything he's been through, he's still, we know his shoulder or whatever it is, or arm still goes numb. And I don't know if that's going to go away. I know he's going to still do more of the stem cell shit, right?
Yep.
This offseason. But that can only go so far. I think this is good for him. Like, if he can just finish the rest of his career and not get hurt again, he's good.
Yeah, it's fine.
So
Shane goes 17-17 for 17.
And that big Mobile 1 on the front of the church. It looks so stupid.
Mobile 1 YZ4VF.
All right, so, no, that'll be my rant. It has to do with the Rick Ware team, but obviously it has to do with his teammate. That'll be my rant.
Okay. Chiz goes 19-18.
What are you doing? Oh, did you get it?
Did I?
Did you? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That
killed it.
sucker's
Oh,
dead.
no. Yeah, nope. There you go. Where'd he go? He's still hopping around? He's not dead. Great radio.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. It's
Stunned
stupid
it.
fly.
I stunned it.
He's got a concussion.
Oh, man. Anyway, Chiz, 19-18 for 18. Chiz has not been very Chiz-like recently.
No, and I think that he did you see the interview, though, that they did when, was it Racer X or Swap?
I don't know.
When they were down at Sandbox. And he was there. He was talking about how he's like, yeah, man, like I know that this is a lot more races than I planned on doing this year, especially didn't plan on doing all of outdoors.
Yeah.
But he's like, I get to the point every season where I go into testing in the off season, I do motos, and then I'm like, I just want to frickin' race. Mm-hmm. I think Chiz is kind of at the point, hearing that wasn't verbatim, but hearing that come out of his mouth, I think that Chiz now is at the point of his career where he's just enjoying racing.
Yeah.
Because he knows it's coming to an end soon.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if we're ever going to see the Chiz is going to Chiz ever again. He's going to have his moments because it's Chiz. But I think he's just kind of realizing that his racing is going to be coming to an end soon. And I think he's just enjoying that he still is being able to do this for a living.
I think so, too. Dino goes 22-16.
Oh, my God, dude. He looks like he's
crashed.
over it.
He crashed the first moto and he wasn't pumped.
I know, but he kind of looks like he's just over it. Like he just...
It was just because he crashed that first moto.
Yeah.
He'd have been okay if he went. Josh Hill goes 18-21 for 20th.
Yeah, kind of where you expected him to be.
Yeah. Kev goes 21-19 for 21st. And Jerry Robin rounds out going 20-20 for 22nd.
Of course, he went 20-20 for 22nd.
Welcome to Jerry's
only
world.
Jerry. Dude, that last two laps of that LCQ was wild. Between him... Bryce Shelley, and
Poor Jeremy Hand.
Oh my God, dude, he had it in the bag. Had it in the
just
bag,
crushing it, and then just can't stay up.
Just knifes the front, and
Twice.
then Bryce Shelley, just same thing.
Fucking Bryce Shelley.
Oh my God, dude.
Poor kid.
Yeah, I don't think Chase Sexton likes him too much.
All right, so that has been your 450 race recap, brought to you by our friends at Gutterworks. So we got about half an hour till Kev's gonna come on here.
Okay. You want to bang through your questions then?
Nope. I want to bang through the 250s here, and then we'll do that other stuff after Kev. So,
all right, let's go.
250 race recap brought to you by our friends at Depth Creative Co. Make sure to check them out for all your logo design needs. He is doing all sorts of cool logo shit for us. He does all sorts of cool logo shit. I'm sorry. Jesus, I'm on the wrong thing. They make bike graphics.
They also are doing cool logo
they
shit.
do
just
cool
in different
logo
forms.
shit, just in a different form for your bike. So make sure to check them out. I have a really cool project bike that I might build at some point that's over there, and I need to get some new graphics for my Blue Crew, which I just got the oil changed in today, so I can finally ride it again here.
Yeah.
It's only been 3 weeks trying to change the oil on that thing. We're doing great. So make sure to check them out for all your graphics needs. Adept Creative Co.
Thank you, Eric Grondal.
Thanks, Eric Grondal. Appreciate you, bud.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Joe Schmoda.
Far East Coast Joe.
Far East Coast goes 4-1 for first.
Oh, man. Dude, he's going to be so good on that Honda next year.
So good on that Honda.
He's going to rip.
I'm just kidding. He's going right back to the way he is because we're going to hype him up here.
Nah, man, I disagree.
In the offseason, and then he's going to just
I disagree, man. I think he's going to be fine.
I don't know. I'm kind of on that bandwagon of if there's pressure on him to like do something, it doesn't work.
I think
maybe he'll change that narrative next year.
Well, he's going to be on a Honda, so yeah, of course, his fucking team's going to be better. Bike's going to be better. He's not going to worry about the crank grenading in preseason. He's going to be fine. Better group. Nothing against Mitch and Bones over there.
They
but
found something.
Yeah. Oh, obviously. Like, the Cowies have been on fire for the last... But, yeah, I think it's probably like a 280 kit. But
yeah, well, maybe. Who knows?
No, dude, Joe's just been good for these last... I mean, even the fourth, like, he was frisky. God,
Joe's on fire right now.
Joe is...
How wild would it be if he wins this series?
Dude,
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't know, man. I think it's kind of down to 3 people right now, and it's kind of the dudes that were on the box yesterday because nobody else really caught my eye.
Yeah, we're going to get to a couple other things here.
But no, man, I think that Joe can definitely win this. It's going to be a battle between him, Deegan, and Vial. But I think, man, that second moto, when he got around Tom, he showed the flashes of what it looked like last year in 2022 outdoors when he was beating Jet a few motos and beating Hunter and handling J. Coop.
Dude, him going around the outside of Vial there was gnarly.
Oh, yeah, dude, and he was setting that up for like 3 laps in a row. Like, Tom figured it out the first couple times, but then, like, dude, just Joe committed, and just that rut was a little bit more consistent all the way through. But, man, when Joe's on, he proved once again that he can beat anybody in the world on a 250.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, he looked good, and if he can just harness this for the last 2 rounds, he's going to be hard to fucking beat.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Joe is, we've said this, like, you talk about the pressure or whatever, but you take about that out of it, you talk about just the bike skills, what it takes to go fast on a dirt bike. Dude, he's got the cardio. Once again, mentally, I think that for a lot of these guys, when you're latched onto someone and pressured them, I don't think he thinks about that. He doesn't get flustered really easy. He's got the sprint speed. Like, his line selection is good. He connects the track well. I think that Joe, whatever's lacking sometimes for him, if he can get that figured out, and I think they're working on it, there's no reason why he can't win both championships next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I right now, I know that's easy to say because him and Deegan are holding the red plate, but he's, as much as I would like to say that Tom's my favorite, Joe has got to be the favorite for these last 4 motos. I really think so. I really think so. If he can just get good starts, man.
Mm-hmm. So Tom Vial goes 3-2 for second.
So good.
God, he looked good yesterday.
Well, he's riding out of the sandbox now.
So that's in my other notes here for the show.
And it's not confirmed for next year, but it kind of sounds like he's going to be down at the sandbox with Chase and Kenny.
That rumor has been circulating for the last 2 weeks that he is leaving the Baker's factory.
Which I think is good because he doesn't fucking need it. Dude, everything, look, I've been very critical of the Baker factory, and we kind of all, the people who, like us, are in the know or know the stuff, know that it's not all clean over there, and it never has been.
Yeah.
But,
and it's not for everybody.
And it's not for everybody. Here's the thing, though, and Tom said this preseason last year when he came over here and started riding Supercross, and they were interviewing him, and I don't remember who it was, but it was from somebody from Racer X, and they asked him about, well, how do you feel about going down to Eldon's place, with the training or whatever? And Tom goes, I've been doing that that has been my training program my entire life. Like, that's the thing. When you go to the Baker's factory and you know what it is going in, that works for the people that don't already do it, don't already just solely focus on the cardio and the very high intensity training and the mountain biking and the road bike rides. Tom's issue is not cardio. Tom doesn't fade. That's not his issue.
Tom needs seat time on a Supercross track.
And he needs seat time getting a bike dialed in through the whoops.
He needs to go to Mumford's and ride the whoop track.
That's it. Like, that's his thing. Going to the Baker's factory I didn't think that was ever going to benefit him because Tom's issue has never been, I'm out of shape. When you look at him, you're like, he's not out of shape. That's not his issue, and it never has been.
Yeah.
You need to go ride with dudes that are going to make you better on a Supercross track. Well, I'm going to go to the sandbox, and I'm riding with Chase Sexton and Ken Roxon, and the sprinkle of all the other dudes that go out there throughout the year. That's going to make him better on a Supercross track. I love it, dude. I'm all in, and learning from Kenny. I know that that's somebody that I wouldn't say looked up to over the years, but that is definitely somebody that he's tried to, everybody in the GPs, it's Herlings and Kenny and Tyroli. That's how you mirror your career. and you know he respects somebody like Chase Sexton. It's hard not to.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be better for him, and that's going to help him in his career moving forward as far as Supercross goes. And even outdoors in the sense of the mental side of things.
I just put 2 and 2 together, too. Him and Chase riding together will be great because KTM bros.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I love it, dude. I love it. For somebody that is a huge fan of Tom VL, when I found out that that's going to be a thing going forward next year and for the rest of the year, I was stoked. I'm like, that's what he needs. He doesn't fucking need to go to a place where he already has a good off-the-bike training program. Tom has never been somebody who gets tired at the end of motos. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm not to say riding with Malcolm and Christian and RJ and all those is not good.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I'd much rather go ride with Chase and Ketty.
His starts are back now, too.
Yeah.
Because, he hole-shotted yesterday.
Yeah, and who gets good starts? Ken Roxon.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Can kind of put 2 and 2 together. We'll see how LA Coliseum goes if it's more Supercross-ish, but I kind of expect the same thing going in Chicagoland if it's more like it was there. Dude, he's going to be up front. I think it's the mental side of things at the end of moto, sometimes not getting lost in the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again, which you kind of seen was where he struggled a little bit at the end of both of those motos. But, dude, if he can just replicate what he did yesterday, dude, he's going to be in this thing all the way down to the last moto. Mm-hmm. So, he's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, now it's time for Isaac Nelson Designs Digging Danger Zone.
On fire that first moto.
Make sure to check out Isaac Nelson Designs for all your logo design. Link in the description below. That first, that crash in practice was gnarly.
It was.
But just tucked the front and going over that wall.
I don't think that hindered him in the second moto, though.
I don't think so either.
Because the first moto, you're not going to just all of a sudden kill it the first moto. And then
crushed it first moto.
Yeah, and we'll go into the person that he passed, how pissed off I am with the way they ride sometimes. But no, man, he was solid the first moto. Dude, he's going to be in this. I believe it's Joe, him, and Vial for these 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anybody else. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, if he just keeps doing it, he keeps talking about he's got this point to prove. And I'm fully overhearing this whole we're learning shit, though. And even
it's the narrative for the year.
It's done and over with, man. We've made it through the year. We've done.
No, we're not. We're not through. We have playoffs.
We've done 28 races or 29 races. We're not learning anymore.
We're still learning how the playoffs are going to go.
Oh yeah, well everybody's learning on that aspect.
We're learning in the playoffs,
but we're not learning how to win in a professional.
Who are you not pumped on how he passed?
No, we're gonna talk about. I'm not pumped on the person, the way they rode that he passed. The way that they ride when they have a lead and they just fall on their face after they get passed.
Oh.
I have no problem with the way Deegan passed Kitchen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about
how frustrated. For a second. I was like, wait a minute.
No, I'm
what
frustrated
did he do?
with
I don't remember anything. No. I don't have any notes on this.
No, I'm frustrated with Kitchen. Deegan passed Kitchen fine. I don't have a problem. Nothing happened there.
My note on Deegan was Deegan ripping.
Yeah, no, man, he killed it. He was on fire all day, had the fastest lap time in the first session, obviously hit the deck in the second, so he didn't get to put all the laps in. Yeah, man, he's going to do what he's done all year. He's going to be spicy. He's going to commit to shit. He's not going to be he's going to be willing to be aggressive. He's going to send it, especially that after the start or after the finish, that little single, and then it jumped into the flat right, that the inside was way too pushed far to the outside.
Yeah.
Dude, Hayden was just launching it into the outside.
Launching
and just committing to dropping into that rut, and that just... Yeah, my actual energy going forward, that's just my roll speed.
I'm super pumped because he's next gen, and he is just I'll jump huge shit all day, and I don't care.
Yeah, he's just gonna do what he
he was the first person on press day videos or Friday videos, whatever, that I saw was trying to quad in the middle of that rhythm section, or did a quad or something. Yeah. And I was like,
yep.
Which is cool because I like seeing these guys try to jump.
Well, then Fortner did it, and then Smitty did it. Fortner did it more than Smitty. I think Smitty only did it a few times. Yeah, man, he's going to do what he's done all entire year. He's going to send it. He's not going to be afraid. He's going to mix it up with these dudes. He's going to have the cardio at the end of the races. He's going to get loose a lot.
If he wins at LA second moto and does not ghost ride the bike, that's a huge miss marketing-wise. Huge miss marketing-wise.
Well, we're going to see, though, because I do feel like it's those 3, but it does make me wonder, at least, if we go to LA Coliseum and it is more actual Supercross-ish, which, let's be real, it's probably going to be a lot more.
If he does not ghost ride that bike off the finish when he wins the second moto.
Who do you think going into that round, though, it's going to favor, though? Because that's the thing is that this is more outdoor mixed with Supercross.
Honestly, man, I don't have a fucking clue because yesterday was so weird, in my opinion, of I mean, you've got like Hunter gets like shit starts.
Hunter
both
ain't doing
motos,
shit.
tips over both motos, and then doesn't do anything. And I was under the impression, especially the first one, I was like, okay, 20 minutes, he's got time.
No.
He'll do
Nope.
it just like
Nothing. Did
outdoors,
nothing.
and he'll just move. And yeah, we'll get to him in a few minutes here, but yeah. So
I think Chicago, you're going to see a lot of the same if the track
Yeah.
is the same. If we go to LA Coliseum and it's actual legitimate Supercross track with a little bit of outdoor dirt sprinkled in,
that's a really positive I feel for Deegan.
well, it's a positive for him, but then you also look, it's a positive for Kitchen, and it's also a positive for Joe. Vial, not so much if there's actual whoops.
I'm out on Kitchen, and we'll get there when
Well,
we get to him
we're
here
gonna
in a
get
few
there
minutes.
too.
But, dude, I think, going into that last round, Deegan's so much better at Supercross, in my opinion. Like, first off, he's way better than Vial. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
At this current moment. And then Shimoda's
He
good.
didn't beat Joe, though, last year in Supercross when Joe came back. I think he only beat him at the first round when Joe, I think outside of that, I think Joe beat him the rest of the time they raced together.
Well, I don't know. We'll see, man. I don't... Look,
Deegan still needs to work on his whoops, and he knows that, though. He addressed
But there
that. This
aren't
was
gonna
the
be- but
talk.
there aren't gonna be any
there
whoops.
wasn't. I do like, though, how he talked about this, and everybody, he was like, yep, my one big flaw was Supercross with whoops, and I said this.
it is fucking wild how we get crucified for the shit we say,
I know.
and then they say
I know.
exactly what we fucking say.
I know. We're a bunch of fucktards over here.
Hashtag Holsterco rant here. We say exactly what the Deegans themselves are saying,
Yep.
but we're idiots.
Yeah. No, man, he even said
How about
this.
y'all fuck off with yourself and your things and your
he
stuff.
He even said this. They were talking to
Holsterco
me.
reload rant.
He's like, look, my whoops were my weak point last year. And I'm glad that he's owning that because that was his one weakness last year. That was his only weakness he had. Obviously, if he had a few typos or whatever, but that was his weakness. Same thing with a lot of guys.
What wasn't his weakness? That fucking corner he just destroyed.
You mean when he was clearly horizontal through the whole corner? Yeah, that was fucking wild.
He fucking gangbanged that corner all by himself. That corner didn't know who the fuck was fucking him.
I think there was only like this much of the sidewall actually touching dirt.
But
he was so far
he gangbanged that entire corner by himself.
No, that was one of the sickest things I've ever seen.
That was I don't know that I've ever seen anyone hit
The
a
only other
corner
person
like
I've ever
that.
seen do that was Stu, and that was back in the 250 days, 250 two-stroke days. Yeah, it was wild, man.
Anyway,
But no, he's gonna be, like I said, he's in this. I think it's down to 3 people, and
it's still wild to me how we can say the exact same thing they say, but fuck, we're idiots.
I know we're fucking stupid.
God, we are dumb.
I know. No, man, he rode great. He's in this. Obviously, he's gonna hold the red plate with Joe. Vial, I think, is like what 3-4 points back. I think it's those 3, and then if we go to Supercross, it's Joe and Deegan.
Any of those 3 winning this title is just
Fucking bananas, right?
blows my
fucking
mind.
bananas.
In fact, the one that I would be the least surprised to do it would be Deegan.
Well, yeah, because you look at Joe, because Joe had more up and down rides for outdoors. When he was on it, he was obviously great. And Tom missed motos and then was up and down in Supercross. So it's like, yeah, like if you really do look at out of those 3, Deegan is actually the least likely or the least less crazy if he wins the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But no, man, I think it's down to those 3, and honestly, nobody else really yesterday even changed my mind that it's
Not at all.
Not at all. Not
at all.
fucking at all.
All right, so that's been your Deegan Danger Zone, brought to you by Isaac Nelson Designs.
And it really wasn't
Deegan Danger Zone.
And it really wasn't a danger zone because we're kind of not really even bagging on him anymore. We're kind of just giving him credit because he's killing it.
That's kind of fading off here, but we're going to continue
Yeah, but we
at
still
least through the year here.
Hey, look, man, we're still going to clickbait the fuck out of people, and we're still going to ride that Hayden Deegan bandwagon.
That is one thing in the AC podcast there for Gypsy.
Yeah.
Jace was talking about how he was talking to Feld, and he's like, look, hey, if you guys want, like, I'll do your thumbnails and your titles for the press conferences to help you guys, like, get views and stuff. And which I thought, I was like, man, that is a great idea because, yeah, it sucks. Like, when you just put up press conference, whatever, like, nobody clicks on that.
No.
Nobody gives a shit.
No.
But you let Jace do some fucking sick thumbnails and a sick title that's like Hayden Deegan talking shit about fucking Tom Biel or whatever. I mean, dude, and all of a sudden you've got 100,000 more views.
Agreed.
Yeah, they should really let him do that. Anyway, all right, moving on. So Ryder D goes 7-3 for 4th. He was very emotional over that 3rd, which, I mean, it was a big deal because he's come a long way here.
Look, I will say this about Ryder D. He's been a prodigy for a long time. And I said this to you when I was over at your house for Labor Day. A lot of these kids, why I can see that them always being good enough to win races and motos, I don't see a lot of these kids being able to win championships.
I had a great time on Labor Day.
Yeah, you got probably super drunk after I left too.
I wasn't
didn't
really
you?
super drunk.
But you were
got
feeling
happy
good?
drunk, dude.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
good,
no,
man.
that's good. You got to do that every now and then.
Dude,
You work hard during the week. You got to let yourself have some
I
fun.
let my
man.
hair down, I'll wave my hair back
Whatever
and
hair you
forth
got
and
left.
like,
it's
dude,
fun.
whatever. It was fun. It was a good time.
If Ryder D, and I'm going to say the same thing about Kitchen when we get to him, if Ryder D can get the mental side of things when things are going wrong a little bit, or things start happening fast, and him just taking a beat and just being comfortable with where he's at, that's what he can be his entire career, is be a guy that can battle for podiums and be up there close up to wins. Because he got the speed, dude. And how many times in outdoors did we see him rip starts and run up front for 20 minutes?
Good starts.
And then,
really
but it's
good
when he
starts.
gets zapped, though.
Yeah.
It's like things start happening fast, and all of a sudden, mentally, it drains him.
And he made the comment. So he's been working with RV, right? So in his post-race interview he did with Steve, he made the comment even. He's like, working with RV is great. He's like, except for the fact of RV never had the issues that I've had here.
No, RV doesn't have confidence issues at all.
Yeah, and he's like, and he won all the time. So, like, he didn't have issues like I do. So he's like, he doesn't know what the fuck to tell me to get through this.
Maybe he should tell him like what he used to tell Wilbur and Weimer, and just tell him that you guys suck.
Well,
remember back in those days when RV was still racing and him, Will, and Weimer would be on pulp,
and
he's just like
RV back in the day.
And Wilbur's like, yeah, after I got like a podium on the 450, I thought RV was going to congratulate me, and he's just like, you should have done better. And Wilbur's like, the fuck?
What the fuck's the matter with you?
What the hell, dude?
So,
no, great person to work with though. Great person. To work with.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, one of the greatest of
I
all
would
time.
love to work with RV.
I think everybody would. I
feel like me and him would have a good fucking time.
I mean,
together.
honestly, like not even working about on the bike shit, just being like, dude, I want to hang out with you.
Well, because between him being all, hey, I'm the best retired rider ever, and me, I would just poke the bear with like, man, Stu beat you a lot, or some dumb shit like that.
Oh, he would love
it. It would
it.
be such a fucking good
Probably
time.
wouldn't have loved it about 7 years ago, but now,
now it would be a great time.
No, I never used to like RV, but I've loved the retired RV dude because he doesn't give a shit. And by the way, kind of off topic for 1 second, have you heard anything if this is going to be like a normal thing now that he's going to be in the booth for Race Day Live?
I don't know.
Because if so, I really hope.
like
and then how about we just push Dan Hubbard out the door?
I feel like they're testing him out for this. Did you feel like he did a decent job?
I think he did a good job.
I thought it was pretty good too.
I mean, honestly, dude, outside he's good.
When they were talking about the PC bikes, and Dan's like, "Yeah, we really don't know." RV's like, "That's why I'm here
because honestly,
you guys don't know, but I'll take over this."
Because we talk,
oh my god,
we talk about
great.
Ricky. He's never going to stir the pot because he's trying to, keep getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Stu is kind of in the middle where he says like off the wall shit, but he's still like realizing that this is something now he can make extra money off of. Where RV's just kind of like, I don't fucking care about any of you guys, and I don't really give a shit and whatever. Because you asked me to be here.
It was hilarious. Like I said, it was hilarious when Dan was talking about them how they said they found something on the PC bikes, whenever, but he was like, but we didn't really get any insight or whatever. And then when RV's like, well, that's why I'm here, and I'm like, oh my god, he's about to tell him exactly what they found because him and Mitch talk all the time.
Well, I mean, dude, he also at one point rode one of the craziest fucking horsepower 250Fs ever in 2007 and 2008. So, yeah.
Those 280 big bore kits are wild.
Dude, I've heard rumors
that was a 390?
No, I've heard rumors on the horsepower. His 07 bike was putting out 61 horsepower.
Which is crazy.
On a 250F.
On an 07.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, not so much because like my Blue Crew's got.
But I mean, nowadays you wouldn't even
out of the box.
But nowadays you wouldn't even want to do it because of how consistent the throttle response. Like, dude, it'd be too much. But yeah, dude, we all heard rumors back in the day. They're like, oh yeah, it's like 58. Oh, it's 60. No, it's like, oh no, it's 61. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
But no, I loved it. I really hope, because I can't stand Dan Hubbard sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he just doesn't pay attention to anything.
He's a hype guy.
He's not there for the analyst.
I was going to say, you got to look at it for what it is. And yes, I understand
when
too.
he misses shit blatant, that's when I get frustrated.
The problem is that we are an enigma for who's watching that. So to us, it's like so stupid what he's saying.
Yeah.
But to the normal person who watches it, I mean, it's like those guys that are way into football or any of the sports that watch it, that it's like you hear the broadcast guys.
A color analyst and then an actual or a color commentator and an analyst.
So like the RV stuff to us is interesting, but what Dan Hubbard says, we're like, we can really take it or leave it. I don't fucking care.
No, but I hope this is a thing for him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest, I highly doubt it because it's RV. I don't really know if he wants to commit to 17 rounds and being at the Supercross races. But anyways, back to Ryder D. Good. Because the first moto, he was solid. Then when he got past, it was happening quick.
Yeah.
He faded back. But I mean, dude, as long as he just somebody doesn't go up there and poke the front wheel on him, and he just can literally just ride his own race. Dude, there's no reason he can't be top 5 for the rest of these motos because speed is not his issue.
Yeah.
Speed is not his issue. So.
No. All right, so Jordan Smith goes 8-4 for 5th, and that was a really weird, quiet 5th. Did not know that Jordan Smith finished 5th.
I mean, let's be real. If it's Supercross, this doesn't surprise us with Jordan Smith because we know that he's got the speed to win. It's just can he hold it together for an entire moto? If he holds it together for an entire moto, let's be real. He's
Does
probably
he make it through all 3 of these without having some fucking highlight moments.
No,
here?
I think he's going to have some highlight moments, and I also think there's going to be a moment where he's going to be out front and he's going to send it.
Yeah.
That's probably going to when he's going to have his highlight moment because he's going to be doing everything he can to win a moto. And low-key, secretly, I'm really hoping at the LA Coliseum, the last moto, that it's him and Deegan.
Oh, it'd be so awesome.
Did you think about that at all? Did that ever
No,
so
but that'd
that
be
comes to your
awesome.
mind? Yeah. Oh, dude. And wouldn't it be fucking great? Wouldn't it be great if Hayden has to beat Smitty to win it and Jordan knows it and Jordan's just like, remember Detroit? Fuck you. By the way, for any of you haters that are about to get in the comment, I'm not saying I want Smitty to take him out. I just want to see Detroit picked back up.
We are entertained
I'm all
by
for
things.
it.
We are
How crazy
We're
would-
here for it.
How fucking sick would that be, though?
Awesome.
Oh, I'd fucking
so
love it.
awesome.
I pray that that's what happens.
Yeah. So, all right. So Haymaker goes 5-8 for 6th.
I mean, dude, he
had
just
great starts. Right up there.
got the speed in qualifying, man. It's just kind of Seth's deal. Same thing as a rider D. Like, man, actually, it's not. It's more like Vial, where mentally, I think at the end of these races, and he's even said it, he kind of loses focus, is where his brain starts shutting down a little bit. Because speed, once again, same thing. I feel like we say this about a lot of these kids. Speed is not his issue.
No.
Like, obviously, dude, he was at the top of the board all through qualifying. He's just gotta mentally be there at the end of these races, and I don't really know who he can have in his corner to fix that.
Yeah. I don't know either. So, okay, here we go. Levi Kitchen goes 2-11 for 7th.
Dude.
Did you call him and see what happened that second moto? Or
I want to know what happened in the fucking first moto. So here's the thing that is fucking wild to me about Levi. How many times this outdoor season did we just see him rip a holy and just gap everybody? And then when he gets a 15th place star, he gets stuck in 12th for the entire race, a la Budds Creek. A Southwick even. The thing that amazed me about that first moto is I went back and looked. He had the fastest lap time, that first moto too. And everybody like, well, yeah, duh, he ripped the star. He had a clear track. Joe didn't. I don't think Joe had the fastest lap time the second moto, and he was out front for most of it. It was Vial, I'm pretty sure. Might be wrong on that, but it's not like when Hayden was closing on him. Hayden was going 3 seconds a lap faster than him. He was just closing down, half a second here, half a second there, putting the track together. It's not like Levi is just a fluke when he gets these starts and he just is riding so past his comfort zone to lead these races. He has the speed because we see
when
this.
he does it, he's got it.
We've seen these-
man when he doesn't do it, he doesn't have it.
Because we've seen guys that when they get a start, they literally go into the red. Their heart rates are at fucking 210. They're riding way past what their body and their brain can process. That's not Levi. Like, Levi still looks so calm and relaxed when he's out front running that pace. So when Hayden passed him, I'm like, okay, man, like, I know what's going to happen. Hayden's going to inch away from him, but Levi, like, if he can just latch on to him and figure out where Hayden's going faster, which honestly, I think Hayden, his speed was honestly, he was just getting through the corners cleaner. Levi is, to me, when I watch Levi ride, he's a mixture of Bogle, somebody that rides with his lower body, he hangs off the back, but he's AP where he's really high with his chest and his shoulders. He's a mixture of those two. So very good technique on the bike. So light on the bike. So many bike skills. We watch Levi do shit, and you're like, how the fuck does he do that?
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy to watch him when he's in the zone. But I've never seen somebody that is so good on a bike and so flawless sometimes. The moment things go wrong for him, they fucking go wrong for him. Dude, when Hayden passed him, 3 seconds and a quarter of a lap Hayden put on him. And I'm like, dude, what is happening? And then the second moto, he was fucking nowhere. What, 7th? Like, dude, what do you do?
I mean, he ended up 11th.
Dude, I get so fucking frustrated with him because I watch him and I'm going, this kid has all the tools to be a fucking champion in both series, and he just can't figure it out.
I would say he might be one of those guys that just never puts it all together.
Honestly, I don't think he can, dude. He's almost, what, 23, 22?
Maybe, yeah, because he
He's
came
in his
in
20s.
late, because he came in his 20s.
Maybe he's 21, turning 22. He's in his early 20s, dude.
No, he's got to be 22 because he didn't come in until he was 20.
Yeah, man, I hate to say this, I don't think he's ever going to figure it out because his issues are so deep that I don't know how you can pull yourself out of the shit that has happened to him. And I hate saying that because I'm such a firm believer in Levi. Such a firm believer because like I said, I watch this kid and I'm like, dude, he has some of the best bike skills of anybody riding a dirt bike right now. But when he gets passed or when he gets a shit start, it's like all of a sudden he just shuts down.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever. Didn't get the start. I'm out.
And I don't get it because, like, we talk about what we just said with Ryder D. We've talked about with J. Coop not having the best race IQ when he gets bad starts. Levi's like a whole nother fucking level.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Because like I said, it's so weird because like you look at the guys ahead of him, okay, and it's like 4-1, 3-2, 1-5, 7-3, 8-4. So it's like all over the place, but they're similar. And then you go 2-11. And it's like, okay, maybe I tip over the second motor or something. I don't really know. But if you didn't, and the thing is we've seen this outdoors too. It's like he'll rip it and win a moto, and the next one's like 15th. And you're like, what the fuck happened in that hour and a half? I don't understand.
Dude.
Or like he'll win a Supercross, and the next 3 weeks, he's completely irrelevant.
Or he'll go second moto Redbud, pass Hayden on the outside in the valley, and walk away from him, and then do the same thing Unadilla. And then the next weekend, he's nowhere to be fucking found.
Yeah.
Like,
it's such an enigma.
And the crazy thing is like, I think the Cowie, bike-wise, with his stature, is going to fit him better than the Yamaha. But it's not going to get any better as far as other things.
No.
Like, dude, it's not to say that pro circuit is not good and whatever they fucking found. I think it frustrates me so more with him than it does other people because I look at him and I go, this dude could win every championship he lines up for with the skill that he has on a dirt bike.
Yeah.
But you something is missing, and I don't think he's ever going to get it figured out.
Nope. All right, so moving on. Hunter Lawrence goes 9-7 for 8th. We have...
For the 3 rounds.
I mean, it's just Lars Lindstrom said it in his interview they did with Steve. You got to get up to do the Supercross, and then you win, and it's like... Whew. Then you got to get up to do the motocross title, and then you win, and it's like... Whew. And now you got to get up again to do SMX. And let's face it, he just didn't get up yesterday. And maybe the next 2 rounds are better.
Maybe, but I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
He also cannot get starts like he did.
I think he put his balls way on the crossbar to win these 2 250 titles he did this year, which is great. It's fantastic. But yeah, I don't know, and maybe we're wrong. Maybe next weekend he comes out and he just does Hunter Lawrence things.
I didn't see Hunter.
And gets like race yesterday top 5 starts and just comes through. But
that looked like 2020 Hunter.
Yeah,
Lawrence
it wasn't great yesterday. So
and the one thing too is, man, that little tip over with the front end push, not a big deal. But it's like we talk about him and Jet with how light on the bike they are and how high they ride with their upper body. But that's another problem that you have when you're that light on the bike and the front end starts to go. You're not squatted, so you're extending away, so you can't react as quickly sometimes. And there's a give and take there with just anything when it comes to riding a dirt bike. So I watched that and I go, Jet did the same thing, but it's when you have a style like that where you're so light and so high with your upper body, when that front end tucks, it's going. And you're not going to be able to correct it because you're not squatted towards it. I don't think the next 2 rounds are going to get any better.
I'm not sure they are.
And look, dude, he just won 2 championships.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, how up he gets, because now he's got to go get up after that for Motocross of Nations 2 weeks after. I don't think that's going to go well, but we'll get to that when we talk about MX of Nations. Not a big deal, dude. He won 2 250 championships this year. He's going to the 450 class next year with his brother. But I don't think it's going to get any better because I didn't see anything yesterday where I go, yeah, man, no, definitely. He can, no, man. Like, outside of him ripping a start and just sprinting away for 3 laps, he looked like the 7th and 8th best guy yesterday.
Yeah, it wasn't great, dude. It wasn't a good time. So, Justin Cooper goes...
He had even a worse day.
Yeah, he goes 12-6 for 9th. He
and
also didn't
backwards.
He had a crash the first moto, he said.
Okay. Because he went backwards pretty quickly.
He didn't. I mean, him and Hunter both did not move through the pack at all.
I kind of expected more from Jacob.
I did too.
Rounds.
I expected
because he was good. Because remember when he won his title in 2021, he was really good at the speedway shit. He's been good at Daytona over the years. No, like, dude, he just wasn't. I don't. What? I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
Welcome to playoffs, baby.
Oh my god, we're talking
crazy.
about playoffs.
Talking about the playoffs.
No, man, that was a bad day. And maybe he's just kind of over it at this point and just ready to go to the 450 class.
Yeah. Okay. Pierce Brown, 11-10 for 10th.
Kind of just where he expects to be, and he kind of
He was the person I thought was going to hit the wall.
Oh my God, I'm glad he did. He was on Swap, and he talked about how just shitty of a year it's been.
He's got to get this figured out because he doesn't have too many more years worth of rides here if he continues to do what he does.
I honestly believe not to say there's anything wrong with the team. He's obviously going to have a new teammate next year in Rider D. Mosman's going to try up from the sounds of it. You have Rider D coming in. I think he needs to get away from that TLD team.
I think so too.
He's been there for a long time. He's been there since it was KTM's.
Time for a change of scenery.
It's time for, not to say there's anything wrong with that team and that bikes. That's not what I'm implying. It just sometimes we know things get stale.
This is the same thing as we're saying with AC and Kawasaki.
And look at with Coop, did it with Star, man. He was back when he was called MyPlash, Rockstar Yamaha, went to Star, went away for a while, came back. I think Pierce just needs to get away from TLD.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else, fresh change of scenery, and maybe come back to them at some point in his career. I honestly think we know Pierce is a very talented dude. We know he has a lot of speed. I think he just needs a new change of scenery. I don't know where that would be. Maybe he goes to Club MX.
Yeah, I don't know.
He just needs to go somewhere else because I think, honestly, that's what it is. I think he needs a change of scenery.
I think so, too. Jalek Swole.
Still ain't killing it.
Fucking A.
Boo. Jalek Swole.
Jalek Swole goes 13-9 for 11th. Okay.
I mean, dude, as long as he's not crashing, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's whatever. Max Volan goes 10-12 for 12th. All right.
What the? Another kid. Like, all the bike skills in the world, never going to win a championship.
Yeah. Forkner crushes the LCQ.
Doing well in the first moto, even.
Yeah, it goes 6-19 for 13th.
Was freight training with his whole team outside of Mumphy.
They were gangbanging
themselves, just fucking one right after another. And I'm like, dude, it's like just a green streak.
Yep.
Because they were literally like locked in front to rear the whole time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude,
just monster green everywhere.
Look, man, as long as he just can get through these next rounds healthy and it's kind of the same thing I say with AC. Fortner just needs to be healthy. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly where he needs to be. Just be healthy, man. Just be healthy.
Just be healthy, bro.
Because we're going to talk about somebody here in a second, too, that's in the same boat, that's on a white bike. Just be healthy, man.
You mean like RJ Hampshire?
Yeah. Just for Fortner, just be healthy. Just don't crash and die.
Finished 14th right behind Austin Fortner.
Fucking got loose as a goose coming off that hip jump. And why is he even racing? Why? Like, stop. RJ, go home. Fucking go home, dude.
And I listened to his interview too. They missed the setup and they kept trying to make changes. And he told me they just got worse all day.
Go home.
Yeah,
just go home, dude.
Yep.
I'm
seeing Supercross.
I'm at
buddy.
the point, and honestly, man,
when
depending
he
on
crashed there, and I'm watching him hit his head again against a jump, and I'm just like, dude.
And honestly, and depending on how Supercross goes, I still stand by the comment that you brought up when we did the Bud show with Tom, when Tom was here. Dude, it's getting close to being, man, you really got to start thinking about the well-being of your family and yourself, and it might be time to call it a career.
Yep.
Because I'm sick and tired of watching RJ ragdoll himself into the ground. Mm-hmm. I respect the hell out of that kid. His tenacity, his determination, he's a fucking animal, and I will debate that all day with anybody. But I'm sick and tired of watching him hit his head. Seriously, I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of watching him being laid up on the side of the ground like motionless.
Yep.
I'm over it.
Yep. Dylan Schwartz, 14-14 for 15. Here's a big disappointment here. Max Anstey goes 18-15 for 16.
I was going to bring that up.
Fucking irrelevant all day.
And a guy that you kind of would think that this would suit him, but he even was talking about, he was like, when they were doing the interview, I think it was Lurch was talking to him on Friday or Saturday. It was Friday, I think. He's like, yeah, man, like we've mostly just been riding Supercross and haven't really ride outdoors. And then I got to practice and I'm like, man, am I at a national right now? Like, I don't know. I honestly, I think it's the thing that a lot of people are chasing is bike setup.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the same as Chicagoland. And then we go to LA Coliseum. And I know I keep saying that we think it's going to be Supercross. Who knows? But if it is, I think he'll be better. Because I just don't think he really rides a lot of outdoor stuff anymore.
No. Here's the nice thing. He's seated, so like it doesn't really matter here.
He's fine.
He's gonna win like a minimum of what, like $25,000 or something. So like, cool. I'll go for 3 weekends and win $25,000.
Maybe he wins $25,000.
We won't get into that. Caden Braswell goes 16-17 for 17.
God, he looks like a giant son of a bitch on that Cowie.
Talon Hawkins goes 19-18 for 18th. You think he's gonna get a ride somewhere?
He supposedly has a ride with
Who?
AEO.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, he's going to AEO.
Oh, boy.
The fucking AEO team, dude. Derek Kelly and Josh Faris.
Oh, my God. In the
LCQ. Fucking we just like, was that Kelly? No, I think that was a Faris. Oh, that was actually Kelly, too, then. Oh, my God,
man,
dude. Dude, their team owner, or whoever runs that, has got to be going, are you fucking
face palming?
Are you kidding me right now? Just, what the fuck?
Yep. So, Colin Park goes 22-16 for 19.
I honestly didn't, not that I thought he was going to get a top 10, but I thought he was going to be a little bit better than that. He was really good in Supercross.
Here's the weird thing. I think we thought there was a whole bunch of shit that was going to be different yesterday, and then I think this was such a curveball for everyone because of the track actually being more hybrid than what everyone thought, because I'm under the impression everyone had the same impression we did. This was going to be a long Supercross
Atlanta
track.
2.0?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
No, it was more Charlotte than it was.
Which is kind of what I think plays into this parody of what we're seeing with everybody being kind of everywhere, and people you didn't think were going to be good were really good, and all sorts of shit like that. So maybe next weekend will be a little different. Maybe not. Next year I think it'll be a lot different because I think it'll be a lot of the same of what we see coming in essentially, but
which is why I really hope that Chicagoland is like Charlotte was yesterday, and then we go to LA Coliseum and it's just Supercross.
Yeah, just
Monster and everybody's like, oh, okay, now I know what to do.
Now I know what to do. Yep. So Mumphy goes 17-22 for 20th. He didn't ride that second moto, which is weird.
Man, and honestly, I think with the way he was riding in practice and in qualifying, he was a lot better than that. He should have been top 10. He had the speed to be top 10.
Yeah.
He's got a ride for next year with Moto Concepts, so I'm just kind of happy to see the kid have a ride.
Yeah.
Because he's better than that, and we all know he's better than that. So.
Yeah. Luke Neese goes 21-20 for 21st.
Oh, poor Chris Bloss.
Oh,
fucking
man.
Poor Chris Bloss.
That's a very Chris Bloss thing.
Cool for Luke Neese.
Yeah.
Because he was charging his balls off.
Yep.
To try to catch Yoder. But poor Chris Bloss.
Dude.
Oh, man.
It's unbelievable. So, and then Hunter Yoder rounds it out going 20-21 for 22nd. He was pumped just to make it in.
You know what? I like it because that kid, and I talked about this during Supercross when he wins LCQs, because he went from winning a lot to not winning.
Yeah.
And every time he wins, he's just pumped. Look, man, I'm all about that, dude. I think it's awesome.
We're all about that action.
I am, dude. I like Hunter Yoder. I don't know the kid. I've actually never met him. I've been at a lot of the races when he was on 150s, but I like his attitude.
Yep. So, all right, 250 race recap there, brought to you by our friends at Adept Creative Co. Make sure to check them out. All your graphics needs, links in the description down below. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Kevin Moranz and talk to him about what it was like to actually race and ride on a Honda at one of these SMX rounds. Then we've got a few kind of other things I'm going to throw at Justin, and then we'll go from there.
All right.
So we will be right back. All right, and we're back. Friend of the show, professional rider,
Privateer hero.
playoff guy.
Playoffs.
It's the playoffs. Mr. Kevin Moranz. Hey, bud.
Hello. Howdy.
So, all right. So we have so many questions here regarding the SMX series, which is great, by the way. In fact, I think it needs to actually be like 5 or 6 rounds instead of just 3.
So we can do 40 races a year?
So we do 40 races a year. So I think that's where we need to go with it, because more racing is always better. But
yeah, you guys don't need recovery. You guys are fine.
Yeah, dude, it's good. Like, who needs an off season? Fuck that. Don't be a bitch.
That's why I think that's why they're getting rid of Red Bull Straight Rhythm. Is there's just too many other races going on.
Yeah, probably. So,
which is a kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk this. So number one, you were on a Honda, which is a bit of a change here as far as U.S. stuff goes. So how was that? How was that decision made? Like, how do we land on a Honda for the SMX stuff here? Explain this to me.
So multiple situations. Biggest thing was originally, before WSX is getting hairy, it was supposed to go SMX, WSX, back to back, weekend to weekend. So we were going to have no time to get off of the KTM, prep on the Honda, get ready for World Supercross. So we decided to go Honda the whole time. And the second deciding factor was the Lazzotti family. So they did my Nashville helmet wrap. So it was the Lift Evader is their company, and it's the Lazzotti family. They lived 4 hours away from Charlotte. It was like I can't remember exactly what it was, 16 to 18 hour drive each way for me to go from Kansas to there. I really did not want to go all the way out there, drive for, maybe to race kind of situation. So it worked out perfectly that they brought the bike to the track on Thursday when we flew in, and they're allowing me to use his Honda Works Edition that had 3 hours on it. He just had a kid, so he's like pretty much told me he's not really like looking to ride it a bunch, but he'd love to let me use it if I can put it to use kind of deal. So just right place, right time kind of situation. So we flew out there, grabbed his bike, took my treble clamp, suspension, seat, plastic, stuff like that, and got his bike all set up. And we were going to race those for the 3 races of SMX. And luckily, Pirelli is on board for transporting our stuff to those races as well. So flew out there, jumped on the Honda, and Pirelli's going to transport it to the next 2 rounds. And so, yeah, that's kind of how everything fell into place.
Sweet. Cool. I did see you pitted under the Pirelli tent there, so that was a interesting new development also. But, it's sweet.
Yeah, it worked out good because otherwise we would have been going to buy a 10x10 tent at Walmart kind of deal.
Look, I just like the Kev's coming around finally, and he's on a Honda.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It's great. It's great. Been wanting to see that 80 on a Honda for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
we'll see.
All right. So, what did you think of that track yesterday? Because we've kind of, the way we've talked, we're like, dude, this is the closest to a true, we'll call it hybrid track that we've seen. But what was it like for you? What was it like to ride it? What did you think of it? Like run us through that situation there.
It was more motocrossy than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
They were supposed to have 2 rhythm sections in it, but they ended up making the rhythm section before the Supercross triple just like little rollers because they needed room to be able to get a water truck in there. So that was kind of the situation with that. It was just tough to kind of get the bike set up exactly the way we wanted because it started out pretty muddy in the morning, just trying to get through practice, making adjustments, and then by the time the first moto came around, like I was just not gelling with what we had set up. That was working for me earlier in the day because it had gotten rougher and harder. So we made good changes going to the second moto, and the second moto was a lot better for me. I was actually able to race instead of just riding around. But as far as the way the track rode, the one Supercross section I did like I really hope they're a little bit more Supercrossy moving forward. But the track was super fun to ride. Was a little bit tough to race on. Like you could get around somebody if you need to. I did like the split section that did, mix some things up. If it didn't have the split section, I think my review would be completely different because the other majority of the track was kind of one line. It wasn't completely one line. Like you can make a pass if you really just got in and got aggressive, but it was pretty tough kind of deal because there was kind of an inside to inside to inside kind of situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, for what they had to work with and going over all the concrete barriers and everything like that, I was pretty impressed with how it turned out.
Did you talk to anybody that had like Dartfish as far as like that split lane section goes? Like, did anybody say
I didn't.
That one was fast?
I had no information.
Because I really was nervous in the morning when I saw that at first. I'm like, dude, they're going to figure out which way is faster, and that's just the way everybody's going to go. But it actually seemed to race fairly well, and guys were going all over the place, including factory guys. So I was like, well, maybe neither section is faster, and it's truly like a somewhat even section there. So so that did make me happy.
It was shockingly even.
How
and it kind of switched back and forth every now and again. Like so, one wasn't clearly better all day.
Yeah. Did you ever do the big line in the rhythm section? Did you ever go 4 in?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
that was too much, eh?
Yeah, that was I got to get out of here and get to the next race kind of decision.
Oh man, that's awesome. Now with them, so I'd said to Justin that the track map, the animated one, was different than what we actually got, in a sense of like mostly jumps built. Did you talk to Dirtworks guys at all? Did they run out of dirt, or was it literally just like you said, like they had to get the water truck in the one area, so they couldn't build that, and then like they, for whatever reason, couldn't build the other stuff, or what? Or did they literally run out of dirt?
No, I don't know about the dirt situation. I just know that the section before the triple was already pretty tight, and if they built it 4 foot high, the spill that they would have on each side would be too much to get a water truck still in that lane as well. So, and they couldn't really, you can't really build a rhythm lane against the barriers, because if you get cross-rutted and go off, kind of like you're going to go off the track, like we would in different situations, or if you catch a rut, and instead of going off the track, you go right into a concrete barrier, they can't really do that. So, it was a little bit different. I never really looked at the track map compared to what the track was. Now that you say that, I didn't know if there was any other differences. I thought it was exactly what it was besides that rhythm.
No,
but I don't know.
So there was that rhythm, and then after that little hip jump there, where you came back over the wall, those looked like they were supposed to be more of a rhythm section than what it actually was. So
interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
So, dude, those concrete wall barriers made me super nervous all weekend, and like especially that one where you came off the split lane and came like over and then swept and went back into that rhythm section. I was like, dude, somebody's going to get loose, or somebody's going to come up the inside when you're making that left-handed sweeper there, and they're just going to make somebody smack that wall on the outside. So
yeah, I'm happy it all worked out.
Yeah, that was like the sketchiest thing, in my opinion, of the entire thing. Yeah, I'm really surprised Jerry did not, or Faulkner. Faulkner's another one that would smack that wall. So that was, what was the, how was that start with the drop off and the split lane there?
I didn't really like the drop off, man. Like, I get such a good jump and I'm good at driving forward, but if you got to like kind of be patient enough to drive down first, it didn't really work out for me, at least in the LCQ.
Yeah.
In the first main event, dude, I could have hole shotted if that was a normal start. Like, I had such a good jump, but I was obviously on the outside, so I got shafted.
How did you decide to go on the side that made you have the right-hand turn there? Because I had a note about that for, I think it was the LCQ, and maybe even the first Moto too. No, maybe it was the second Moto. You were out there on that side. Like, how did you end up with that, like making that decision there, especially for the LCQ? Because I know there were plenty of open gates.
Yeah, 2 reasons. Was mainly one, Nicoletti took the other side, and I knew he would fight going into the first corner. 2 was, without him, I was pretty confident. I was like, okay, I got everybody else covered, as long as I get a good jump like I usually do. But 3, I did in the practice, the second qualifying session, we did an actual start, and I hole shot everybody from the left side, because on the left side, you could actually you obviously don't have your rear brake in the corner. That's what everybody was thinking of right off the rip. But you're able to kind of push wide into the berm easier than you were on the right side. Like the right side, you kind of had to just like cut around on flat.
Okay.
On the left side, you could actually push to the berm pretty easily. So you're able to carry a little bit more momentum through the corner. That's what I liked.
Okay.
And then you're set up on the right side of the finish line, so then you can swoop into the little roller after the finish line instead of being on the very left.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Hello?
I think we lost him.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I got you back now.
We're there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you get to open your corner up a little bit.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So, oh crap, I just lost what? Oh, the the leader lights on the bike. What? How do those mount up? What is the situation with that? Because I was that's interesting.
Yeah, so imagine the little lights. They're like a strip of LED lights, so they bend, right?
Yep.
So you just put them around, put a zip tie around them, and then they have like a little plug-in that goes to like a transponder. Imagine like it's almost the exact size of a transponder. That they plug into it, so then they can obviously light them up whenever they want, kind of deal.
That's interesting. Because I wondered how exactly they worked with being on everybody's bike there.
All to think Phil was the first one to test
Phil
that.
was the first one, and he got to run him again.
And he got
here
to run him, and he actually had him when he was leading.
Yeah, so that was
great.
wild. That was wild. So it was because didn't they turn him on in qualifying too? Like if you were
there were a few guys that had him on.
I mean, say because I know Kev had him on for a while there.
Yeah,
so
there's a few guys that had him on.
Hey, bro, good TV time though.
Good TV time.
Being in that unseated practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because Dan Hubbard's in
still
love
talks
with
about you all the time, man.
Oh, bro, incredible.
I feel like that dude would buy you a slice of pizza and some wine.
Yep. Yep. So
Or maybe some Hawaiian rolls.
yeah. So
There you go.
You got any questions for him?
Nah, man, I'm good. Just glad he got out of there healthy.
Me too.
Yeah, big
first
time.
round.
Didn't smack the wall.
Now
so.
we'll go to Chicagoland, and it's going to be the exact same thing, probably.
Yeah, maybe get some motocross suspension for Chicagoland because I heard that's going to be even more motocrossy.
And then go to LA Coliseum and put the Supercross
Really?
suspension back on.
Yeah, they said that from what I've heard, Chicago is going to be even more motocrossy, and then when we get to LA, it's going to be
Monster
very
Cup-ish.
Monster Cup-ish.
Well, I was told I had a little bit of insight that there were some people that were complaining that it wasn't Monster Cuppy enough, and that's what the teams were told coming in. So they were told that this next one is going to be try to make it more Monster Cuppy, more Supercrossy, because last one was more motocrossy.
Well, look, I don't think anybody knows what the fuck is happening right
Kev,
now.
honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, nobody really knew. But did you kind of go in having the mindset that this is going to be like Atlanta Speedway 2.0? Like, is that what when you first heard all this?
100%.
That's what you thought it was
Yeah,
going to be?
I didn't think it was going to be as motocrossy as it was.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Because I have the feeling that everybody kind of thought that they were like, oh, Speedway, it's actually at a drag strip. Like, it's going to be Atlanta 2.0, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So.
Did any of those where you guys crossed over the walls there, did any of those ruts get down to the actual concrete wall?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's surprising, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure because I was like, ooh, that could be because I know like that sweeper around like where the start of the drag strip was there on the end after the rhythm section. There were guys that were getting a little squirrely and they were kind of getting real close to the edge of the dirt. And I think I actually at one point saw was it Jet or somebody actually went a little off the dirt and it was like you
That
could
was
tell.
Faulkner.
Oh yeah, and it was slippery and
Yeah.
you could tell it was slippery because he like hit it and it was like whoa.
All I know is I'm real interested to see what it's like at LA Coliseum with the peristyle. How many dudes are going to send it?
I don't know, man.
Kev, you going to send it?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, buddy. Just watch all clips from the 1980s and just watch Bob Hanna.
Have you heard any new information on the final World Supercross rounds here?
Bunch of soccer players bought it.
Has the team? We're going to talk about that here in a little bit
Yeah.
about the guys that
No.
bought it. So,
Honestly, nothing.
Huh.
All I've heard is probably like I haven't heard honestly any good information from the teams. I've just heard through the grapevine it's looking like Abu Dhabi and Melbourne.
okay,
Well, that's reassuring.
the series is going to go places here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is those guys that bought it, and we'll
Well, yeah, they're
we'll talk
billionaires.
about it here. Yeah, those guys that bought it didn't buy it to play around here. This is going to be.
Really?
Yeah, so well, I mean, we can talk about it now while you're on the line here. Yeah, so the two guys that bought it, they are both individually wealthy.
They're billionaires.
They're billionaires. Okay, so like the one
Well,
guy,
they look like they're young.
dude, the
they're-
one guy is like the youngest person in history to own a fucking football team in Europe.
Yeah.
So like they both own like I don't know if it's Premier League, but they both own high end soccer teams in Europe there.
It's probably UEFA or something.
Yeah, and so from what I understand from the people I've talked to, like these are not the kind of guys that go into business because they need, you know, a $10 million tax write-off for the year. They're here to make money. In the infamous words of Jace from Gypsy Tales, these boys are here to fuck.
I love it.
And they're here to fuck World Supercross, and not in a bad way. So I'm pretty
That's
optimistic here for how this, because like the Saudi fund was cool strictly for the fact of the original owners, strictly for the fact of they had so much money that it was like, oh, this is sweet. But it was still at the end of the day, somebody who essentially knew somebody who was into moto in that fund was pushing it so that fund could be whatever. These boys here, well, they might like moto. They are hardcore style business guys who are not here to play around and not here to lose money. So if you take what they do with the soccer stuff over there, and now you start applying that to moto, so they bring in their marketing team, their all that kind of good stuff like that, all of a sudden, like, this could very much change the trajectory of this in a much more positive way than what we even thought it was going to be originally.
I have a feeling with these guys owning football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, football, they're going to be able to do something that Adam Bailey and the Saudi group couldn't do, and they're actually going to be able to get into the premier stadiums that they actually have.
Yeah, that could be interesting too.
Because that's been the biggest thing is finding location.
Yeah.
For them, with their connections, I don't think they're going to have that issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's multiple things. So you got to find location. Now you got to find dirt. Now you got to figure out where you're going to store the dirt, how you're going to haul the dirt, all that kind of stuff. All the dirt's got to be sifted because we saw that last year in Cardiff and stuff. Like the dirt had a bunch of shit in it. So there's like a bunch of steps that they're making that like Feld and them don't have to make right now because they have all that shit sorted out already. So but like I said, with kind of having the basic knowledge I do of the guys who bought it at this point, which I still haven't looked deep into it, but Hopper was explaining it to me on Friday.
If they own a soccer team, they have a lot of money.
They're here to fuck, dude. Like they are not here for they're not Mike Genova. Not that there's anything. This is no hate on Mike Genova or anything. They're not here for $1 million tax write-off every year. They're here
They don't need it.
to make money on this crap. So I think this will go in a positive direction.
Let's hope.
I like it.
Let's hope.
I'm pumped.
Like I said, they got the money.
Are your parents coming this weekend?
No.
Oh,
Sad panda.
Travis is sad panda. He wants
Sad
to see your
panda.
mom.
No.
He does talk about your mom a lot.
Mostly, I just need to know Frank was going to be there, so that way I could bring Chips Ahoy. Because me and
Oh
Frank,
my goodness.
You guys pound some cookies?
bro. Every time
Yeah,
me
he
and Frank
likes
get
it.
together,
Oh
we
my
got to get
God.
family. His dad got a stack of Chips Ahoy out the package after the race, like this big, and just bit through the whole thing.
Kev, aren't you glad you met Travis?
Absolutely.
Dude, me and Kev are like best friends.
I know.
It's a cool time.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's
Were you
pretty
expecting a
much
different reaction out of
it.
me?
I don't know, maybe. So, all right, buddy. Well, hey, thanks for calling in, man. We will see you this weekend, obviously, because like I said, we're gonna be in Chicago, so we will see you there, and I'll talk to you about lining up for everything for Chicago here. So, yeah. So,
Sounds good.
and then
See ya, bud.
we'll talk on the show next week or something.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, later, buddy.
Yep. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, bye. All right, Kevin Moranz, everybody.
Kevin Moranz.
Well, super sad me and Frank don't get to split some Chips Ahoy, man.
Huh.
It's always a highlight of
Who
my...
was I wasn't paying attention, but who was the dude that was helping him? The big
I don't
boy.
have any clue.
The big guy. That guy was big.
Yeah,
He's a big dude. Well, at
I don't
first
know.
I looked at it and I couldn't tell right away, and I saw his size and I was like, why the hell is Derek Rankin helping him? And then I'm like, oh, that's not Derek.
Yeah, I don't know. We should ask that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyway, I'm losing steam here, buddy.
Yeah, we got some questions to get through, and then we'll get this
Yeah, so
over and done with.
let's get through some of this stuff. So so I am very positive. That was something I was actually going to bring up.
it's a
was
big
the
deal.
WSX stuff. Like I said, those boys are here to fuck.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And like I said, they will have the connections that Adam Bailey and co. did not have in getting location because of who these guys are. I don't pay much attention to soccer, just never been into it. But
Yeah.
obviously I know the basics and, I think they probably own UEFA teams. Either way, they're
I don't know.
they're
Like I said, I've
billionaires.
never
They got
looked
a lot
them
of
up.
money.
Yeah, they're
and
they're individual billionaires.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
it's
not
not a group.
fund. This
Yeah.
is them themselves.
they'll be able to get location, which I think was the biggest thing World Supercross was coming into.
Well, and like I said too, so I was positive on a couple things. Number one, with them buying it. Number two, whatever vision Adam Bailey has for this must be good, because we see this all the time with mergers and acquisitions. Okay, a new company comes in, buys it, and immediately changes the CEO,
yeah,
and that didn't happen.
yeah.
Adam Bailey's still there. He's still the CEO of it.
Well,
So
I also think with
that shows that whatever Adam Bailey thinks he's trying to do with this, whether it is the right thing or not, only time will tell on that. He's obviously got some sort of plan that even these guys looked at, these big business guys, and went, "Yep, we're good."
Well, we know that his vision, because what he did with Supercar, V8 supercars and stuff for Australia, he
Yeah.
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I also believe that with the merger of what's going on with Feld and MX Sports and Daytona Motorsports Group and all that, and trying to go into some speedways, I think that they're going to try to go and
That's not happening.
they're going to try to go into some
not
of the
happening, so
stadiums
quit talking about it.
in America.
Nothing like that's happening.
Okay.
We're wrong.
I know.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see, man. It's going to be interesting here. It's let's put it this way: as scared as I was that it was going to be dead in the water here 3 weeks ago when they announced that they're selling whatever. Now I'm much more positive on it, because, like I said, you get somebody with money like that who is running companies and like like I said, like the soccer teams or whatever, and you get someone who's got that sort of marketing machine and that sort of merchandising machine behind it, like the sky's the limit as to what the hell can come in and happen. So
if we have any people that watch this show and know more about European soccer and they know who these guys are, comment in the section and let us
down
know
below if you have a better idea, because I don't
who
have
these guys are.
much of an idea
I
yet.
don't watch soccer, so.
All right, let's talk a few silly season things here. So Justin Cooper has signed a full-time $450 deal for Star, which isn't a surprise.
No, especially with Dylan leaving.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, I think that's good for everyone all around, because he's just going to be a solid 450 guy there in the top 10 hanging out.
He's going to be top 10. I think he's going to have some top 5s and stuff. I think outdoors is going to go a little bit better, but he's just going to be a solid top 10 guy.
Yeah.
I don't really expect him to
I don't expect
be outside
any
of
wow from
no,
him,
but
I expect a very consistent year all the way around.
I don't expect him to be outside the top 10 often.
Yes.
I think it's going to take a lot of things to go wrong, like bike malfunction.
Yeah.
I think he's going to slot in as a solid top 10 dude. Like I said, top 5s every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe outdoors, if everything's clicking, he can get on the box. But Jay Coop's always been a solid dude. So I think it's a good for them to keep him around.
Yep. Volan signed a PC deal.
When we all knew that was happening.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Don't really know.
I don't know
Whatever.
if that's going to be better or worse. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
I think getting away from the corporate side of KTM, the whole buttoned up shit, and being able to kind of, as long as you're putting in the work, Mitch is fine with it, kind of letting you do your own thing. I think that's going to be better for him, but I think Volan is kind of just who Volan is at this point.
It's sad because they got pushed into that pro deal.
Yeah, thanks, KTM.
Yeah, and I just
kind of ruined that one.
I'm not sure.
Should have waited another, I don't know, year.
Yep. Anything else silly season that you can
No,
think
because we
of?
knew about Kitchen. We've talked about Mumford. We talked about Talon Hawkins. We've talked about the Husky team, KTM.
I mean, I guess we could say Triumph. So Triumph finally released a video of the bike with RC
it's gonna be
Little Red Dot, which is funny.
It'll be Evan Ferry, Jalik Swoll.
Because RC is still riding with a ferry.
I know. And it'll be Mosman. And the rumor, and we talked about this with the Butts Creek show, is Savachi going to be on the 250 for outdoors.
That, from what I understand, is not a rumor. That is fucking done.
No, it was done, but it was a rumor when we talked about it last.
That, to me,
that is very interesting.
About this is, number one, interesting, and number two, that is a great signing on their part, because think about it. Savachi's going to come into 250 outdoors. He's going to run top 5. And he's going to get in the SMX playoffs.
Well,
so then you're going to be able to actually, like, no matter what the fuck else happens, you're going to have a Triumph at the SMX playoffs.
Well, and he's going to ride that until they build, and this is obviously where Dylan comes in too, develop that 450 and then go.
But that's interesting too. Are they going to come right out with a fucking 3-team 450 guy?
That I don't know.
Because
that hasn't been talked about.
Because what are you going to do? You're going to do Savachi, Dylan, and Ando? Because we all know Ando's going to go there, finish his career.
Maybe they just do that.
No way Ando doesn't go there.
Maybe they do that, and then they just go to a 2-rider 250 team, one east, one west.
That is wild to me.
I'll tell you what, though, man. Joey on a 250 outdoors.
It's going to be awesome.
If that bike is good, it's going to be spicy.
He's going to be a 250.
He's going to be a contender. He's going to be a contender right off the bat.
And like I said, from the rumors I've heard, that like the expectations is that he's going to qualify for SMX on that thing and then go ride it.
Let's be real. Like you can say everything you want about Joey, and it's all true.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big Savachi fan, but we go back to Savachi syndrome days and all that. But outdoors on a 250,
Savachi syndromes.
Yeah, outdoor on a 250.
I like that guy a lot, though.
Joey gets shit done.
Yeah,
like he is not going to be afraid. It doesn't matter if your name's Hayden Deegan, fucking Joe Schmoda, whatever. And the thing about him is, he's already been there, done that on a 250. Like outside of ever winning a title, he battled with the best of the best. Nothing is going to happen on a 250 that's going to surprise him.
No.
It's not going to, the pace is not going to worry him. He's not going to get tired. So outside of that bike just being a complete shit bike, which it's a KTM from a couple of years ago, he's going to be fine. So yeah, he's going to qualify right in.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good, dude. Like that's another person that's going to be in there and make 250 outdoors fucking wild. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool, man. And so here's a fun question that I heard on some other podcast the other day. They were talking, do you think Jet will be the highest paid dude ever in the history of the sport? And the interesting thing that got brought up here.
That's tough.
This is what's interesting, because we've kind of talked about this before. So we all know, like, which is funny because you can go back and watch our video that we kind of broke this news in a sense, is we all know Ducati's coming in. And here's the thing. So when Ducati comes in, because from what I understand, they're coming in with a 450 bike, right? Does Ducati come in and I mean, do they just go, like we're here to fuck, and just drop $8 million salary on him just to outbid fucking everybody.
Would they just be going? You think they would just go with Jet though?
No, it's probably gonna be a package deal. But
Him and Hunter?
But say they come in and say Hunter. Yeah, so say Hunter does okay in 450s. Like let's say he's top 10 dude here,
Yeah.
right? Good secondary guy. But they want the marketing machine of the
Jet.
Lawrence brothers and Jet, right? So do they come in first year? Go, okay, we're gonna go with a 2-man 450 team, and here's $10 million. Hunter, we're gonna give you 2, and we're gonna give Jet 8 type shit.
Here's the biggest thing that I think is going to have to happen. And somebody brought this up. I don't know where I heard this or who it was, but they brought up a good point. Jet marketing,
Yeah.
all the craziness around him, Red Bull, like he's got Jets and Donuts or whatever. But they brought up a good point. And it's not like a lot of people have done this in the past outside of Stu and Dunge and Ricky to an extent. I think the only thing left that Jet has to bring to the table as far as marketing goes is he needs to bring in a big outside sponsor that's not moto related.
But he's got some interesting ones already, because let's face it, they've got the what is it, the quad lock case or whatever,
Yeah, and
which
they
is
also
a cell
got
phone
the,
case, and
the
he's got
thing that-
he's got the MVMT watch.
And then he also
thing.
is the fucking, what is it, the thing, the antisocial social club thing.
Yes. Yes.
So he's got that. So he does have outside sponsors, but I think that to make him, if you want to talk about the next level of where I could see him getting paid like that,
yeah.
is he's got to bring in, because obviously with Stu, he had Nike, which that was a complete fail on Nike. They could have made it so much bigger than it was.
Yeah.
And we all know Dunge was Target.
Yep.
You bring in...
But Dunge knew somebody, or
Yes.
Dunge's mom knew somebody at Target.
But you still had Target on there. It was a big deal to have Target around.
So I'm with you. But I want to see something that
Yes.
it's like we don't know anybody
Yes.
there.
Yep.
Type deal.
Yeah, Jet brings that in, and then I think that, I agree with that. I think that that'd be the one thing where I could see him getting not paid crazy money, is they're going to be like, okay, we know what you're going to do on the bike,
Yeah.
and even social media-wise, what your team with Mertz does off the bike, but you need to bring in...
I mean, the real question is it going to be him or Deegan that does it first? Because Deegan's the other one that could do it, dude. Because, dude,
That's tough, man, because...
That Deegan machine
Who's it gonna be?
is
Who's it gonna be though? Because
nuts.
who would it be though?
I don't fucking know.
Who would Brian bring in for Hayden?
Yeah.
Not to say that Hayden didn't do it as under his own merit, but it's going to come from Brian to Hayden. Who would it be though? Because a lot of would it be Ford?
I don't know.
Would it be
I'm
Ford?
not
Because Brian
sure.
is sponsored by Ford still. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he is.
So would it be Ford?
Sure.
Could you imagine bringing in Ford as a sponsor? Holy shit!
I mean, maybe here. The problem
That's
is
a good. I don't know. I don't know on that. It is yet. I think that.
But it's one of those two.
I think Hayden's got to win a championship first before we start talking about
Dude,
that with
I
him.
I don't know, man. Because
Just to boost it.
the crowd that forms around him.
Oh, I know.
And again, they were talking about this on Gypsy Tales. That's why this is very front of mind for me, because Jace was asking Adam, "Have you been around that truck when he's there or when he's at the races?" And he was like, "Yeah, not yet." He's like, "Dude," Jace is like, "I've never seen anything like this." He's like, "Dude, I'm standing there trying to talk to Duff, and we can't fucking talk because they're just screaming for him and chants and everything else, to the point that finally he was like, oh, okay, I guess I got to go out there and like sign some babies and stuff." So I think it's one of those two that definitely pulls in a big outside sponsorship. Now, does that move the needle of the sport? I don't know, because there's so many other barriers here as far as activations and things go.
I just don't know if you're...
And that's a whole nother thing we could get into with how these series sell sponsorship placement.
Well, we also
and
know
things.
about the whole thing with Supercross as far as like having how many people on the shirts and all that. Like the money that they take from that as opposed...
I mean, there's a whole mess of things there that are kind of essentially working against it. And this is one of those things that I'd love to like have dinner with Mertz and like talk to him about it. Of like, how do you think you're going to get around this here? Because like,
it's not the Wild West days. I just don't know if we could ever...
No.
I don't know if we're ever going to have somebody that's going to be able to move the needle like... I think Stu is just the one person. I just... Because we're not in that day and age anymore either, where everybody was getting fucking huge...
Jet and Deegan
But here's the thing about Jet and Deegan, though, is even though we're in a social media day and age where Stu didn't have that, Jet and Deegan, though, they're doing great on the bike, and they have the presence off, and people love them because they're young, good-looking kids, and they appeal to a different crowd, not just the core people. They're bringing in new people, whether it's the the little kids that want to be them, or the sister of the brother, or the mom, or the whatever. All these different people. But like Stu did something for the sport that I don't know if we can ever replicate, because Jet and Hayden could go on to fucking win every championship possible. But I still don't know if what they're going to be able to do that Stu didn't do. You know what I mean? Like Stu brought another level of eyes because he was doing shit on a bike that we'd never seen before. Okay, now Jade and Deegan are doing crazy shit, but we've seen it already though.
Yeah, but so I believe,
and we still Stu has the fastest man on the planet moniker. That
I believe that Stu was the Jet / Deegan of that generation.
Yes.
Okay. That's what Stu was. Okay. And now this is just moved into the new generation, and these guys are that. Now, will anybody ever come up and take the moniker fastest man on the planet from Stu? That's doubtful, but
probably.
It could. Yeah, I mean, nothing's impossible.
It could.
So at some point, someone's going to come up, and we're going to be like, holy shit.
Yeah, for sure.
These two guys are not that. They're super good. They're super fast, but they're not taking that moniker.
Yeah.
But they are the modern day, as far as marketing stuff goes, Stu. They are the modern day Stu.
For sure. I agree with that, totally.
Stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. The one thing that Deegan has going for him that Jet doesn't is the vlog.
Yeah, the YouTube stuff.
And that could sell a big outside sponsorship that Jet at this point can't sell. Because Jet's YouTube stuff all comes through Red Bull at this point. So yeah, I don't know, man. But I really think it's one of those two. One of
honestly,
those two is going to do it.
And we said this. We talked about this back in Supercross. Here's a crazy idea. If you're Red Bull, Jet and Max Verstappen are already friends.
Are they?
Yeah,
I don't feel like Max has friends.
Well, acquaintances.
Okay.
Whatever you want to call it. Acquaintances. He likes Jet where Max doesn't really like people. He likes Jet. He likes Jet.
Have they ever been in the same room together?
Yeah, they've been together at a couple Red Bull events already.
Weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't think that either, but then I saw pictures and I saw some video. It wasn't on the Red Bull channel.
I can't say I really saw Herlings and Cooper Webb being friends
that
talk all the time, but that's also a thing apparently.
Didn't really realize that
weird.
either. Yeah. I would love to see Jet and Max, and I've said this before, Marc Marquez. Mm-hmm. How about we just we have three of the biggest guys in the sport, even though Marquez is a little bit on the back end now with everything he's had going on and stuff.
Yeah, that's
but
an
Max,
interesting thing there.
Yeah. Max is fucking GOAT level status right now. Can't lose a race, even if he tried.
Yeah.
And Jet's Jet. I would love to see these guys work together and figure out a way to take their brand to the next level, because they're all under the same Red Bull tent. Mm-hmm. They're all the three biggest guys still in their sport. Jet is the biggest guy in our sport right now. Max is the biggest guy in his sport. And even though Marquez is not winning and hasn't won in a while, he's still the biggest name, I think, in MotoGP.
Yep,
because
sure I got that fucker
because Valentino Rossi is now retired.
Yeah.
I'd love to see these guys figure out a way to...
Well, we kind of saw that with the Marquez and the Jet crossing over there.
So now we get Max Verstappen in there, and I just, you know what I mean? Like, these guys, if they can't figure out a way around the system, work together.
I am sure that there's something behind the scenes happening with Verstappen's people and Mertz trying to line something up. I would love to see it. I think, to answer your question, and to answer and not answer your question, I think that's the only way you can get around the system. Yeah.
Is do it from within, and that's the only way that you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I'd be interested to know if
fucking bring Max Verstappen to a fucking Supercross. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but Max isn't going to do that.
Hell no.
He would, but he's going to be a ghost. You're not going to see him walking around being like, hey. He's not going to be Danny Rick.
Although
Danny Rick would show up and be like, yeah, let's go down the crowd, do some shoeys or something.
Although, as much as I don't like Max Verstappen, if I definitely saw him in a Supercross, I'd be like, holy shit, that's Max Verstappen.
If you saw him at a Supercross and you didn't go up and try to get a photo with him,
I'd definitely try to get a photo with him. I would
probably kick you in the nuts.
I don't like him at all, but the level of what he's doing right now, it's in awe. I'd be like, that's fucking Max. Crazy thing is, a lot of the dumbasses are walking around the pits, wouldn't even know who he is, and be like, you fucking know who that is right now?
Yeah, who knows? Okay. So let's move on from that stuff here. So a couple things. Let's talk GPs a little bit.
All right.
Okay.
Love it.
So let's start on a positive with the GPs.
Okay.
Everts seems to be coming into his own here.
He is.
He
is
is
getting his shit together.
When he started here, I was
It was
like,
a Max Volan-esque.
whoa,
Yeah, it was a
yes.
Max Volan-esque thing. I mean, it was crazy because they had actually raced each other at an EMX race at Matterley Basin the year they both went pro.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I was like, the name on the back of that jersey is really heavy because he's not jumping far enough.
Especially the fact that he's got a 72, so he's even repping Dad's number, and it's like, oh boy. Yeah, no, he's finally getting it together. Definitely having Cairoli now as kind of like the team manager of that is helping. Because I mean, dude, when your dad's Stefan Everts, the GOAT of the GPs, like you're always going to be in his shadow. He's dwindled the points lead down. He's not going to take it away from Adamo because there's only 2 rounds to go. But he's finally getting his shit together. And I mean, dude, people don't know this over here, but Liam Everts is a prodigy over there.
Yeah.
He is supposed to be the next big thing. Like what Deegan is doing over here, that's what Liam's doing, except Lucas Coonan is kind of snatching that away from him, which I love it.
The Coonan brothers are...
they're here to fuck.
They're the fuck,
I
buddy.
can't wait till they come over here. But no, I like every time these prodigies, especially when they're the kids of somebody that's great, I like when they finally start to realize their potential because the pressure that they have on them. That'd be like if Ricky's kid ever decided. Like, dude, the pressure that you have on there being who your dad is, it's overwhelming. So it's cool. And even if he doesn't win this title, which, like I said, he's not
going to win this title.
Getting second in the points, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is because, like I said, I just watched the highlights and like knowing that he's riding and stuff, and you like see it, and it's like, oh, he's like 10th, 12th, whatever.
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
not
boy,
good.
That's not an Everts there.
Dad and Grandpa's
and
not
now,
happy.
Now it's to the point. It's like, oh, and Everts takes the lead. Everts moves into third. Everts does, and I'm like, okay, now we're starting to see something.
One thing I will say about Liam, he does not give a fuck who you are.
That's awesome.
He rides like Vince Freeze.
I feel like there's a lot of those Euros there that way.
They don't give a shit. He does not care, dude. Him and Lucas Coonan, which is funny because them both being Belgium, being on the same team at MX of Nations, dude, they do not like each other. And Coonan almost put his ass over a berm a couple times because Liam was literally like Vince Freeze style, in to out to in, just sawed off his front end, and Coonan just like looked over at him a couple times.
Yeah,
and he's just like, really? But no, it's cool to see him finally get his shit together. He's definitely going to be in the conversation for a title next year. There have been talks, probably not going to happen, about him possibly coming over here in the future, but I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either. He's a Euro guy through and through.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about your boy Herlings there. I mean...
Oh, dude, it's so frustrating.
Dude, he is fragile.
It sucks, dude.
He is fragile.
He just had so many crashes, man. Like, I heard a statistic, and I think I told you about this the last time on the Butts Creek show. He has broken more bones now than Pastrana has.
He needs to call Coach Rob here.
He does. He's not drinking enough milk or something.
I was going to say, he needs to do some blood work, and we got to get his bones
Probably because he's not on steroids.
Maybe. Who knows, man? But, man, that is just, it's...
And the thing that's a bummer, dude, what happened to him, it's not like he was even riding over his head. Like, he literally came back at whatever the sand race was in Finland.
Yep.
Can't remember the name of the track. And he just didn't have the speed the first moto. He was riding himself back into shape. He's like, all right, I'm going to take a 6th or 7th, whatever it was. Second moto was latched on to Renault the whole time. Didn't want to drive it in there, right over his head. He's like, hey, I'm going to take 4th. And then they go to, was it Sweden? I don't know where it was. Greasy as shit. And he's like, hey, man, I'm going to be the 3rd best guy today. And it is what it is, working himself. Even when he crashed earlier in the year at Teufelstal, he was building back to a base. And his base at like 75% was already better than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And it's not like this was the crashes in the past where he was just riding past his limit. It was just unlucky shit.
Yeah.
Like this one where he crashed was literally came off a roller, hit false neutral because he was downshifting in the air, went to drop in the berm and obviously didn't go anywhere. Front end knifed, caught, and pitched him and landed on his shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, it's so frustrating because this wasn't even the Herlings of old. Ever since, was it 2020 when he was paralyzed?
Yeah. When he torpedoed himself.
He's had such a different outlook at these races when he's come back, where he's just eased it back into it. And in 2021, he won the title. And he missed a bunch of races and still won the title. It's just a bummer, dude, because he should have won so many titles by now, and it's just unlucky shit. And it's not the same dude anymore.
Think we'll just see him here next year?
I think so, because his contract, he re-upped, but it's only he's coming over here before he ends his career. He's made a point of that.
He's made it very public that he's doing that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very good chance he comes over here next year. I think he might take the whole winter off and just get healthy because he's not going to be on the Netherlands team.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I think he comes over here next year. I think this is going to be. He's made a point that when he races here, that's his last hurrah. He's done after that.
Yeah. So the other guy that's kind of like, I mean, he did just win a moto or whatever. Tim Geiser is just not.
Same thing, man.
I know he's just Gumby Geyser there is just not.
He talked about this. He's like, I'm just building for next year.
Yeah, and maybe, hopefully next year he comes out.
Oh, he will. He'll be fine.
And he looks okay, but man, right now it's just like
because I've watched him, and you can tell like the sand race in I think it was Finland when he was closing the gap on Sewer and he was hounding him. And Timmy G's definitely was never a sand guy in his MX2 career, and even the beginning of his fourth, because that's just not how his style is. He's very connect the track, trust your line, not just hang it out and bang into shit. He was like, hey, man, 5 minutes to go. Like, I'm stalling out a little bit. Sewer's sending in a couple spots. Like, I'm just going to let him go. And you can tell it's the same thing in Herlings, just building his way back into shape. And he's even said it. He's like, I should be close to 100% for MX of Nations, but 2024, I'm getting my championship back.
Okay.
So I think he's going to be fine. I think MX of Nations is going to be real interesting.
Okay, so let's talk MXON here.
We're not sending a team.
No, it's going to get announced next week.
I don't know how, because they were supposed to have it in by the 5th.
It's going to be Devin Simonson, Hunter Yoder, and Josh Cartwright.
Somebody was like, yeah, it's going to be Barsha, Hampshire, and Voland, and I'm like, we should not even go.
I mean, we
Plessinger, Voland, and Hampshire.
Literally made the Simonson joke to the AMA people. Because he's like, are we that far down the list already that we're like on Devin Simonson? Because I
remember when I told you this, we weren't sending a team, and everybody said I was fucking crazy. Dude, we're not sending a team.
So here's the big question here. This happens every single year. Okay, the race. Is this something where we should relook at? Because let's face it, World Cup for soccer does not happen every year. Olympics does not happen every year.
Yeah,
all these world events like this. They don't happen every year, but Does Nations does, okay?
Olympics.
And the only
every 4 years.
Yeah, and the only people making any money off this are fucking promoters over there, okay? Like no one else makes any money. Everybody else spends money to go, whatever. So should this be changed to where it's only every 2, 3, 4 years, something like that, so it makes more sense, builds more pride, because what they're doing. What they do is they run this up the flagpole of pride for your country or whatever, and okay, great, cool, awesome, pride for your country, except for there's so much pressure on you now, and now there's these playoffs, especially over here, now there's these playoffs that now go to September, and now instead of taking time off, you're going 2 weeks, and then you go to fucking Des Nations, and then you've got, a week off, and then, now we got to start boot camp for Supercross, so, there is no time off anymore.
No.
There is no time off, and the GP guys are fine still because they finished their thing. They got either, is it the next week or is it 2 weeks between the last race and
it's going to be
Nations?
It's going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah,
because they end their season at Matterley at the end of September.
Yeah, but then they don't start their season again until the end of February.
No, but their thing though is a lot of people don't know this is even though it's not like it is over here, they start their national series in January.
But that's still completely different than the MXGP series.
No, it is, but they're still racing. So
but that's okay. That's the guys going to the Thursday night race up in Washougal. That is,
but I mean, they're still. But I mean, Fevra's still. But I mean, dude, they still get their top guys going to these races.
I know, but I'm just saying, even though it's a different thing than what it is.
But they
go in and they race and they want to win, of course, because that's how we're all wired. However, there still is that bit of you get down to it, you're like, yeah, this is just warming up. This doesn't fucking matter. So
they're still riding. They're still doing races. It's just, it's not like us where they're contracted. They go to these races because they feel like they don't go there with their teams.
Yeah, I know.
They go there with a box van, their mechanic, and a couple bikes because they want to.
I still feel like this should be changed to every 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years.
I saw this thing where, did you know that in last year when Eli went, it cost him just for him $10,000? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know how much the Canadian team's spending this year? $65,000 to go.
So I've heard a couple different numbers. I've heard Star is anywhere between 20 to 30,000 per rider when they send one. Which is part of the reason why I've heard Deegan's not going, because Star's not supporting it this year.
Which I think, man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. We know that Cowie's never going to go. Here's the one thing I will say about this is
Cowie won't support it because of what's his nuts. Yeah. DeCoster.
Oh, yeah.
That's why Cowie won't go anymore.
So here's how I feel about this, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, and it sucks because I've been to every one here in the States since they came back at Budds Creek in 2007. If we're not going to send a team to these races, we don't deserve to have it in our country.
I mean,
we just don't.
But here's the thing with that, okay? These promoters over there really like money, and they make a shit ton off this race, right? And why do they make a shit ton off this race? Because the U.S. guys come. So, for example, look at was it 2020? Was there one in 2020 or did 2020 completely get ixnayed?
No, 2020 didn't. 21 they were at Mantova.
And we didn't send a team, right?
Yeah, that was the year that Cairoli, the Italian team, won in Italy.
And you want to know what? I mean, I'll never really know. I bet they didn't make half the fucking money that year.
Well,
and you want to know why? Because we weren't fucking there, and no one over here gave a shit about that race because we didn't fucking send a team.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is that year, obviously, we know all the bullshit that was going on around the world with all the fake whatever.
Yeah.
And the fact that that was such a thrown-together race. Here's the thing, though. We don't send a team, and if we even said we weren't going to send a team, come October in Ernée, that place is going to have just as many people there as it would for Redbud. And they don't give a fuck if we're not there, if we're there or not. Like, they don't. I understand where you're coming from, but this is where I'll say, with me having the knowledge of the GPs, like you go to Matterley Basin, dude, the UK fans will fucking pack that place whether Americans are there or not.
I cannot dispute that, but I'm just saying
it is a bigger deal because it's
part of the draw of the race is the US guys going
for sure. That is
so
not
there is enough of a draw from that if we do not go, there will be like on the back end. The promoters will see that.
Yeah, they'll be a little bit annoyed. I guess I wasn't arguing that. My point is just looking at it as is like, not to say they won't do it, but Americans shouldn't cry that we don't have it here if we're not even going to sack up and send a team. Yeah, because they talk about the fact that it costs money. Dude, it's still costing the teams over there to send a team to these races.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going there for free just because they're Euro teams. Like, it's still costing them money just like it would to a normal race.
No, I mean, in my opinion,
But I like what you're saying about...
number one, I think it should be spread out more. I don't think we need to have it every year anymore.
No.
Like, I just don't think that needs to be a thing. Number two, I believe that okay, if you don't want to pay out a purse or anything like that, these promoters should pay at least some sort of base amount. Even if you want to do it like Formula One, or say like the top 5 teams get X amount of dollars to bring a team the next year, and then team whatever it is, team 10, or 6 through 10 gets X amount, et cetera, all the way down to 20. Even if you want to do that, great, cool. But like you got to do something because all these teams are spending so much money, and let's face it, it's only getting worse. And we're going over there right now. Like if we send a team,
which I don't think we are,
which is up in the air at this point.
I don't think we're sending a team.
If we send a team at all, we are supposed to be running the number 1, 2, and 3 plates. So like literally, your race that we fucking won last year is such a hassle to get to. Period. Unless you're in the States for our guys, that like we're like, yeah, we're out. Like, because we can't even find guys that want to do it.
Yeah, that's where it comes into where for me, I always look at these guys and it just annoys the shit out of me because and the money thing and all that's big. I just look at it as how it used to be back in the RV days and the Dunge days, and obviously Stu and Ricky in the old days where they didn't care about the money. It was about the pride of going and representing your country.
Yeah.
And there's still debate about us being better. It's just like with the Olympics. They don't get paid to go to the Olympics.
No.
So, like, I get where people are coming. It depends on if you have
paid,
a deal.
You get paid in different ways.
Yeah.
Nike pays to be all over those Olympic
It's not
athletes.
the same, but it's not the same way as what most people would think.
No.
My point, though, is that I get where these guys come from, but you should have a little bit of pride for your country. And it just bothers me that a lot of these guys come up with these excuses because the one thing I'll say right now, Jet and Hunter are just going to do 31 races, and they're fucking going over there for Australia. What is the excuse that we're not sending a team if the two guys that have raced our series raced 31 races and they're willing to go over and race it?
I mean, the biggest problem is number one, Eli's hurt. Okay, so he's obviously not going because he's hurt. Number two,
we could still have Chase Sexton and Hayden Deegan.
Chase is changing teams, so that's a big fucking problem there. Justin Cooper's getting married, so he can't go. So right there, that kills all three of the dudes that went last year and won.
Yep.
Okay, so that right there just kills it all, which is super sad because both Honda and, from what I understand, KTM have both told Chase, if you want to go, we will support you.
So I think he should go.
He could go and ride either bike.
I think he should go.
But I can't blame him either because once again here we have added these races here, okay, which is fine, cool. We're racing, awesome. But we've added these, so like at some point something has to give, okay? And then too, okay, does Chase want to go over there and get his fucking dick kicked in? Because let's face it, the other 450 guy is not Eli Tomac.
No.
So that's a fucking problem. And then, okay, maybe if Chase goes, from what I've heard a little bit of scuttlebutt, like if Chase would go, then Hayden would go.
Yeah.
But, okay, I don't
So
know,
you said
man.
your third guy is Barsher, AP, and they're going to be decent in the MX Open class.
Yeah. Yeah, which,
We're not
which
gonna
again
win.
would be okay.
We're not going to win, but I mean, dude, it's still I just look at it and go, the way around that argument is Jet and Hunter are going, and they just race just as many races as everybody else.
Yeah, but this is
and they
this
have
is
pride.
such a perfect storm for us to not go.
I
Because,
totally get it.
Like I said, with everything I just laid out, it is literally the most perfect storm to not go. Because any other year, all three dudes would have been available, more than likely, or at least two out of the three would have been available. They wouldn't have been changing teams or whatever, and they would have been able to go and do it. And also, we wouldn't have had these races that go into September. We'd have been done for fucking 4 weeks here or whatever, and it would have just been like, oh, well, I guess I'll take a week off, and then I'll ride some more outdoors and go or whatever. But it is just such a perfect storm this year that it's like we go from winning and being able to run the 1, 2, 3 plate to I don't know that we're going to go at all.
Yeah, I don't think we're going. We're not going. There's our team is getting dwindled down, and that's why I made that comment when we talked about this months ago.
Yeah.
We're not going to send a team because even if we did go with Chase, Hayden, and say it was Barsher, AP, we're not going to win. We're not going to fucking win. Like, you're not beating France at Ernay.
No,
it's not happening.
Fevre's so good right now.
Dude, Fevre, Vial, and Renault. Renault already got on the box in his second race back, and Vial obviously is a fucking animal at Ernay. You're not going to beat him. So I just look at it as the pride thing. I wish we could go. I love it, even though people would say, well, I'm very critical of the American team in the past, and it's because the way I watch the GPs. But it's a bummer that we're not going to go and get to run the 1, 2, 3 because it's been the first time since we've been able to do that since 2011.
Yeah.
That we got to run the 1, 2, 3. Or no, 2012, I'm sorry, when we were at Lommel. But, I mean, I don't know. I just look at it and I look at Jet and Hunter going. So I don't really think we have an excuse to not go.
Yeah, Jet and Hunter are going.
They got a good team with Dean Ferris being their third guy.
I'll be interested to see after this year how that goes with them.
What do you mean?
If they continue to go run that race year after year after year after year. Maybe.
You mean Jet and Hunter?
Yeah.
Racing the MX of Nations?
Yeah.
I think that they'll do it solely because I think that they have a lot of pride in their country, man. They want to win for Australia.
I mean, so I honestly think
And I still think Jet is
think-
low-key cocky enough that he wants to prove he's the best 450 rider in the world.
I think that's part of it. But dude, it would not surprise me either if we get another 3 years or so down the road here and they don't go either.
I mean, maybe you're gonna be X amount of years into both of their careers and X amount of years into Jet, and who knows how many championships he'll have by then, and maybe he won't want to go. I totally understand that, but I still think he's low key cocky enough where he wants to prove he's
so too.
I'm
not gonna argue that.
And it's going to be a bummer this year because obviously Eli won't be there, Chase won't be there, Herlings is not going to be there. But I mean, dude, it's not going to be a fucking walk in the park trying to beat Fevre at Ernay, dude.
No.
Even Renault, and Renault's been better than Fevre at Ernay in the past.
Yeah.
And who knows how guys are going to be, but dude, I am looking forward to Jet and Fevre because Jet is Jet and Fevre doesn't give a fuck who you are.
Let's put it this way. I'm probably going to watch the race, but we're probably not going to cover it.
No, I'm fine with that, but I am looking forward to that race because, dude, the French team is going to be good. The Belgium team with Koonin and Gertz is going to be good, and Everts. But I am really excited to see how Hunter and Jet do. I think Hunter's going to be on a struggle bus, to be honest with you.
Maybe.
He's ridden Ernay before, but I am super excited to see Jet against some guys that he hasn't raced. And here's another thing, not that it matters. Renault's the last dude to beat Jet on a 450 outdoors. So Renault's going to go in and go, I already beat him once. It's different, obviously. But, like, Renault's going, yeah, man, I was the last dude to beat him on a 450 outdoors. Like, what the fuck? He's not a big deal. But, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that they're going because even though I'd still be interested in the race because it would just be like another GP to me just with the team aspect. But I am happy that Jet and Hunter are going. I really am because it's going to mix things up. Where's Hunter going to go? He's already ridden Renee in the past. Like I said, Jet, Fevre, Renault, Geyser, I'm all for it, dude. Because those guys we know don't give a fuck. They will ride you. They will run you wide.
Does it lend a little more credibility if Jet goes over there and wins every single moto he races?
I think it does, but it's hard though because once again, it's like Herlings isn't there. So like I want to give him the credit that if he does go over there and he does what he did to Chase all entire year, but then it's like, well, it's the same thing as last year when our guys won. Herlings wasn't there. Yeah. Because if you want to say you have the two best outdoor guys in the world, you got to have Herlings and Jet there. Yeah. But who fucking knows, dude? The way Prado's riding when he cares this year.
Prado's fucking killing it.
When he wants to win, he fucking wins. This is not the Prado of, I don't know. I'm excited for the race for the first time in a while. Because I don't know. Because Jet could go over there and fucking do what he did, or just all of a sudden Fevre could beat him.
I will say that it lends a lot. I think it puts a lot of extra checks in his box there
for sure.
For being like the fastest outdoor dude on
for
450 right now. If he goes over there and wins all three motos, wins the qualifying one and both motos on Sunday, it lends a lot of credence to, yep, that kid is a real fucking deal outdoors on a 450.
So the last question I'll say before we end this to counteract that is, and I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours. Because a lot of people will say, "Oh, he hasn't ridden Renee in a long time," and like this, I'm
not concerned about that.
Okay, because it's Jet. Mm-hmm. So because now that you've said this, you're not concerned, and I knew you wouldn't be because you have a lot of faith in Jet.
He's got plenty of track time on a 2-day event too.
What does that say if Fevre does beat him though?
Well,
what does that to flip side that? Because I will agree with everything you said that if Jet does go over there and beat him, especially Renee, what does that say about the way Fevre is riding?
I think
or Renault.
I don't think it says anything because you're looking at a French guy on a French track.
Okay, what if Geyser beats him then?
That could be a little different, strictly because Timmy's like, I mean, we just talked about it. Timmy's not on the level that Timmy was.
So what if Tim does beat him?
Then
what does that say about Tim?
Then that's kind of an interesting thing of like, this guy who's hasn't really been crushing it GP wise here recently, coming back off an injury, beat you. So
we have storylines going into that race.
Yeah,
solely because Jet and Hunter are going. Because also Hunter is our 250
champ. Yep.
And Vial is going to have pride, but hey, Lucas Coonen's going to go in there to fuck.
Yeah, I don't necessarily look at Hunter to do. Hunter, I'm not as concerned.
You think he's going to get beat? I think Vial's going to beat him because Vial is going to pull like a Muscan from back in the day.
It won't surprise me if he gets. Yeah. Let's put it this way: that will not shock me.
No.
If Jet gets beat, that's going to be a little bit more of a.
So it's a storyline for sure, which definitely
it's 100%
pumps me up for the race because it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know because Jet could go do what he's did.
That's the thing that's going to make me watch that race.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I could give a shit less.
Yeah, because it's like another GP. So for me, I'd watch it anyway because it's a GP, and we also can't forget Gertz is going to be riding a 450. Gertz took Eli to the limit last year over here, so you can't rule him out either.
No.
So I'm excited for it. I'm glad we're at least sending a couple of American-based riders because Vial is now an American-based rider. Vial's going back, and the Lawrence brothers. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, man, I'm always excited for that race because I love the GPs. I
heard some rumors that they've been doing some testing with Vial for some different parts that he can't run here.
Yeah, because they can ride True Works bikes over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. That bike,
is interesting.
I fully believe this is going to be like 2015 when Fevre won his championship. And remember when Muscan rode the 250 at MX of Nations and he beat everybody that day?
Yeah.
I think that's what Vial is going to do. He's going to be so pumped up to be back in front of his home crowd.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So this has been another episode of the Moto Aftermath Show. This has been episode 250. Wrapping up the first round of the Super Motocross playoffs here.
We'll be at Chicago next weekend.
We'll be at Chicago next weekend, so if you see us, make sure to say hi. Make sure to comment down below all your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with us on basically anything we said there. Links in the description down below for all our sponsors. Thanks to them for all being on board. Also, there's merchandise links and all sorts of Amazon links and other ways for you to support us in the description down below, so make sure to hit those up. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week to wrap up Chicago.